of January 2020. This is Gap episode number 500. My name is Luke Lawrie. Joab Gilroy is here. How's your 500th birthday, Joab?
500!
You got the streamers and all the decorations going in the background, I can see.
500th birthday sounds like a fucking nightmare. Like, could you imagine being alive for 500 fucking years?
Yeah. Are you just in like a jar at that stage?
Yeah.
Like a floating head out of Futurama?
Yep. Yeah, that's basically it. I live in a gefilte fish jar. Yeah, that would be awful. So luckily it's not my 500th birthday, but it is the 500th episode of the podcast, which I think means that's 500 times I've thought about ending the podcast. So that's cool. Yeah, I've thought, wow, this is going to be our last podcast. That one was awful. We're never doing this again. But 499 episodes, yeah, we just keep fucking doing it. I don't even know at this point if people are listening. We just keep doing it regardless. Yeah. No, 500 episodes. It's pretty cool. That's an achievement.
That's a lot. There have been a lot of podcasts out there that have that have started and then like just haven't even tried.
Yeah, like haven't even come close. We are honestly 500 podcasts, and even beyond the episode number. Yeah, we're like one of the longest running podcasts just out there.
I'd say in the world, yeah, for sure.
In the world, yeah.
We started when podcasting was very new. I mean,
before streaming was a thing.
Yeah, and podcasts.
Imagine if we'd done streaming instead.
Well, that would have been a mistake.
Fucking imagine how rich we'd be now.
We were streaming at one stage on, like, it wasn't Justin TV. What was before? It was before Twitch, right?
Well, we did do our live stream. We did live stream episodes of the Borderlands 24-hour marathon before anyone was doing anything like that. But we did do episode 210.
Right.
I did some research.
You did some research. This is the most research Joab has ever done for a podcast.
100%. Episode 210, we debuted Versus mode.
Right.
Where we played games
while podcasting.
While podcasting on Twitch. We streamed the whole thing on Twitch. It lasted 8 episodes. Over those 8 episodes, we quickly learned that I cannot play a game and talk at the same time. Or I can't talk to other people at the same time. I can play a game and talk to myself. But if anyone interrupts me, I'm not able to concentrate on the game and what they're talking about. So, yeah, it was pretty awful for a conversational podcast. But yeah, so yeah, we were streaming on Twitch for a little bit. It was like, I don't think it was that bad an idea. We did I remember the ones where we did golf, because we transitioned to like a Connect golf game about like 4 episodes into doing like Titanfall and stuff, and like fighting games where nobody was able to fucking concentrate because we were all way too competitive. But the golf game, you were able to just sort of take it at your own pace, and it sort of worked out kind of good. It was just, I don't know, golf. I don't think golf is as exciting as it could be. We could have turned it like into a mad drinking game, and I think we did a couple of times. But like, it just, yeah, golf isn't an exciting game for Twitch, and it didn't really work for the audio-based podcast that was really our primary focus. So we abandoned it after 8 episodes. Yeah, so that was pretty good. What else we got? I got some other milestones here. Should we go through 500 episodes right now?
We'll start at 1 and then just work through the highlights of each episode. And then I'll play clips. I've actually got clips lined up for each episode.
Holy shit, you did stuff too.
Yeah. No, I don't actually have clips for each episode. I went through a bunch and was like, this is way too much effort. Like, there were people that, we'll go through them maybe later on, but we had people suggesting like sort of their favorite moments through the last couple of I don't know, 500 episodes we've done, and yeah, so I kind of went through and tried to find some of those, and it can be a lot harder than you think, especially when you don't know things like timestamps and whatnot. But I did find a bunch of them. I got a couple of of the pranks in there, the good pranks.
Oh yeah.
Which were good. So the first time we changed your wallpaper over a period of a year.
Yes.
That was pretty good. I think someone suggested that one as well. The other
Episode
one was
196. The 1 year prank.
The other one was the baby Jesus photo that you found.
Oh yeah.
I've got that one in there.
Which I believe is still sitting behind me.
Yeah, yeah. And then just a bunch of other sort of highlights and that sort of stuff. I tried to find things like the Left 4 Dead podcast, but I think I'm missing that one. It was super early on. And I don't know where that was. So that's the one where you and I went to a preview event for Left 4 Dead 2, where Gabe Newell and Eric Johnson from Valve were out here showcasing the game.
Dick slanging.
Yeah, so I tried to find some of that sort of stuff, and couldn't do it. I just didn't know where it was at all.
Yeah.
I had a rough release date, a rough date of when that happened, but I didn't have the episode. So I think it was around about. I'm just making noises for people at home. Somewhere around 10 to 15, and I don't think I've got that one. So
right.
Just trying to see here. Yeah, it's got to be around there somewhere. Because I'm missing 5 to 10, episode 5 to 10. I don't know where they are, so it's got to be around that period. I knew, and that's basically the October period of where I can track down the date of when we went and saw that game in 2009. So I couldn't find it. I know we mentioned it him a couple of times, but that would take some effort to find
that one. And
yeah,
it's probably not.
So I've actually got one from I'm missing 5 to 10, and I've got 10 to 51, and then I talked a couple of weeks ago how I was missing a couple, and I did manage to find a few of them, but there's still a good chunk that we're missing. I think because at one stage I had an issue with my hard drive, and I recovered a bunch of them, but there was just stuff that was just corrupt, and by that stage Game Arena had disappeared. Yeah, and so I managed to grab some stuff off Oz Gamers as well, and then all of that stuff I've backed it all up, so it's all up on our website now. So if something does happen to my PC ever again, it's somewhere.
Nice.
So we got them, but yeah, that was interesting. Going through a bunch of those old episodes and listening to that first episode, the quality of it is all over the place. Because we were using Rock Band mics as well as
SingStar mics. And Rock Band mics.
Yeah, and you can actually hear the quality difference between other people that are talking. I think it was Heath that sounds immaculate, and then you sound like you're in a tin can.
Nice.
And you're the one doing all the talking. So, there's just a lot of quality issues very early on where it was all over the place when we were using Rock Band and SingStar mics at the same time, and noisy desks, and then having to jimmy together a MacGyver solution for pop filters and microphone stands, and you came up with that one, which is pretty interesting, but it worked.
If it works. That was back before that was fucking garage shit. Nobody was doing any of this shit. We were just fucking making it up as we went along. And then refusing to change when people did it in vastly superior ways. But here we are, 500 episodes later. We did a big episode at a pub on episode 200.
Yep.
With a all-star cast of the who's who of people from the Australian games media.
Yeah, who was there? We had game developers there as well, I remember.
Oh yeah, I think we did. People from Team Bondi and stuff. I don't remember. I didn't list it. I just remember that was episode 200.
Tim Stobo was there.
Oh yeah.
He's over at he worked on Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yog made an appearance.
Yes, we made him tell us about PAX, I think, if I recall correctly. He just started working with PAX. But yeah, yeah, we've had some good times. We've had some long podcasts. We've had some drunk times. And yeah, overall, happy to hit 500.
There was a podcast that I was getting some clips from. I don't remember which one it was, but it was an hour and 10 minutes long.
Pathetic.
That is, I was like, what? What happened on this one?
That's awful.
It's like
that is awful. Did we have a guest who didn't want to stay for ages or something?
I don't even remember which one it was. I just
had a lot of guests. We used to be a 5-person. At one point, we were a 5-person podcast. We were started as a 2-person, I think.
Yeah, it was you and Heath, right?
Me and Jay, I think, was the first one, and then me and Heath was the second one, and then you came in the third. And
which was the first.
Hey,
it was the first two never actually went up.
We never fucking published them.
You yeah, because you were like, that one is terrible. It's really bad.
The one with me and Jay was awful, and I wouldn't be surprised if the one with me and Heath was awful as well.
Yeah,
but yeah, it'd be Jay Leong, Heath Dixon, you obviously, me, and Jeremy Junglist Ray, who I insisted on writing the Junglist part in every single fucking description, just to piss him off. And I believe it worked. But yeah, over the course of the podcast, we've whittled it down to just you and me. Heath was the first to bail.
He went back to Queensland.
282. Yeah, he moved back to Queensland, and we weren't doing the Skype thing. We were still doing the live thing. So, yeah, he, didn't show up again.
No one wanted to hear him race anyway, right?
We just didn't want to hear him talking about fucking racing games. Episode 292. So 10 episodes later, we lost Jay. It was unceremonious. He just didn't have time for it anymore. He had a lot going on, and couldn't do the podcast. If we'd moved to the fucking web thing a little bit earlier, maybe we could have kept him on a bit more regularly. We also could have kept Heath on, but I don't think Heath. I don't know. Heath literally plays racing games, like has scheduled time to play iRacing. I would fucking end myself if I had to hear about him playing iRacing every week. I just couldn't do it. We banned you from talking about Dota. We would have banned him from talking about racing games, and the only other game he plays is fucking PUBG. We were playing. I jumped on to play some PUBG when they were fucking wrapping up the season pass, and him and LJM were playing together, and they were like trying to knock out the last challenges of the season pass. And I looked at my season pass effort, and I'd made it to level 19, and we even play PUBG in wildly different ways. Like, I'm not chasing any of that shit.
I just don't think any of it's any good. The PUBG stuff is just, it looks bad. I feel like.
Yeah, I don't think it looks very good. But like, at the same time, I think it's awesome that they've got something that like gives them something to chase, like to play for.
Sure.
Like they're actually incentivized to continue to grind out or try different things. Like they were specifically, I think they were both trying to get like pistol kills. Was it pistol or like some? No, it was that fucking PP, the PP-19 Bison. No, trying to fucking get Bison kills, I think it was. And I'm like, why? Just why? Because my only goal is a chicken dinner, and I'll get it through any means, camping, mostly camping. But yeah, they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try and get PP kills. I'm like, fucking, it's gonna really impact my chicken dinner chances. But like at the same time, yeah, they're absolutely. I don't fucking pick up the PP. I will fucking run around and just whine about not having found a weapon. If I see a fucking PP on the ground, I'll be like, no, I haven't found a gun yet, because I fucking hate that thing. But anyway, yeah, they're trying out new things. I'm sure they learned, that maybe isn't the worst gun in the world, because they both got fucking kills with it. So yeah, it's just weird. People play different games different ways. It's crazy. Crazy to think. And then episode 400 was the last time we saw Junglist. Although we did see him a couple of episodes later for a God of War spoiler cast, but it wasn't a numbered episode.
I think that's when he started full time at
fandom.
His other job, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, he just couldn't make the time anymore. And also he refused to get a decent microphone.
or internet connection.
Or decent internet connection. So yeah, all the way down to us. So it's been you and me for 100 episodes, although we've had guests on in the meantime, primarily Nate Nachos Justice Lawrence, probably one of the best guests on any podcast. Mostly because the man is as chatty as I am, has as many fucking opinions as I do, and is capable of fucking elocuting them in a manner that I think lends itself very well to the podcast format. He can talk underwater.
Yeah, and, that dude can talk about everything.
About everything. He's got a better memory than I do. And I've got a shit memory except for about video games. Like I can remember everything I did in a video game. It's like I file that stuff away and then I'm just like move to trash with other things. I'll be like, can't remember where my keys are. Oh yeah, that's how I finished that game. Oh, that's how that round of PUBG ended. Oh yeah, I do remember when I got that wall bang in fucking Rainbow Six.
Round 832 of PUBG. I remember that one.
Yeah. Anyway, when's my mum's birthday? Yeah. Like that.
You need to play a game of PUBG on that day. That way you can remember it.
Genius. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, we've had regular guests. It's mostly just been you and me, and I think it's been pretty good. Although I know people do request that we have, other people come on from time to time. We just ignore it.
Yeah.
That's basically
again, it's like we're during. Generally, we're starting at like what is it, 8 or 9 o'clock for you?
Yeah, 9 in the morning.
That is early.
Yes, people aren't about that life.
Just because we're the time difference we have to work out now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's made podcasting in general pretty complicated, but I'm still doing it, and we've worked it out. I think we've got a pretty good system now, as much as you could call it a system. But yeah. That's about it. And yeah, so I noted some notable episodes. The 1 year prank was 196.
Yeah. Did you listen back to it?
No, I didn't listen back.
I was losing my shit when I was clipping this thing, because it goes for a little while. Well, Heath and I are kind of explaining it to you, and I trimmed a little bit of it, but just to tidy things up, make it a bit snappier. And
so you're going to put it in now?
I'll put it in somewhere. I haven't figured out where I'm going to put all this stuff. Like if I just put it in right at the end, because what I was going to do is have it at the start, like a snip thing. But it's some of it's too long now. It's gone too long.
Oh, okay.
So I could like insert it into places.
You could put that bit in right now.
Yeah, that might work. Let's do that.
Do you want to talk through the other bits? The only other thing I was going to bring up was the brought to you by thing, because for 166 episodes, the podcast was brought to you by Game Arena.
Yeah,
which was something that my boss at Game Arena insisted I put in at the end. Like he's like, when I first put it up, he's like, "Why doesn't it say Game Arena anyway?" I'm like, "It's called the fucking Game Arena podcast." And he's like, "No, it should say brought to you by Game Arena." So I edited that in, and then from there on out, I would literally just paste in this episode of the GA podcast is brought to you by Game Arena. And then episode 167, when they told me they were shutting everything down, I'm going to delete everything forever, and I was extremely upset and maybe a little bit drunk. I added now with more salt. And the first time I changed entirely away from the GA podcast is brought to you by Game Arena. The first time it was no longer brought to you by Game Arena. The GA podcast, episode 178. GA podcast brought to you by the hard work of Luke Lawrie, who works tirelessly to edit this and get it up on time, only to have Joby fail to get it up. And then immediately followed by GA podcast. This week, it was Luke's fault getting the podcast up because he screwed up the upload to the FTP. So, yeah. That's the... I thought those were invisible. I have been editing... I've been doing those the entire time, thinking nobody could read them, but...
they show up on the feed.
Yeah. My wife showed me that they're just, like, fucking right there. So I do my own dumb little jokes in almost every fucking feed app on the feed, and yeah, I thought they were literally jokes to myself, and no, they went wide. I had no idea. And then I just wanted to I took a poll of the top 3 episodes of the podcast.
You took a poll, like your own personal poll, or did you ask someone?
No, I asked myself. But right. Episode 421, Rafts in Space, PS. Joab is back with another 2 hours of rambling nonsense as he tackles Moonlighter, Objects in Space, Postscriptum, and Raft. That was a solo episode. It's just me. A bit weird. Anyway, episode 420, Solo, not a Star Wars story. On this episode of The Gap, Joab Gilroy is doing everything himself. He's alone while Luke Lawrie gallivants about Europe. It's only really one game on Joab's mind. He's talking about Detroit Become Human. And then episode 357, To Bone a Squid Cat, where I went on this episode of the GA podcast. Joab Gilroy is alone, and he talks about Mass Effect, Andromeda, and the Squid Cat story. Me trying to work out on a podcast how to explain to people that I don't personally want to have sex with a squid cat, but I want the opportunity to turn it down in a video game. Me going through that for fucking 25 minutes, it's pretty high quality radio. Yeah, so those are the top 3, obviously. Yeah, all Joab solo efforts because I am the best. No, honestly, my favorite episode of the podcast is episode 432, The Prestige, which involves your story of Rainy Pitchford's house, because I listened back to that. And
that was a good name for the podcast.
Yeah, it was. Oh my god. And my chest hurt, though. My chest hurt listening to that fucking story again. It was something else.
Should I put that in here?
I think you should. Yeah, I can't get it out of my mind. That fucking episode. That story is too much. It is the fucking wildest shit I've ever heard, and I've done some wild shit on fucking trips. Like, I've been involved in some fucking wild stories, but that one takes the fucking cake. It is the fucking craziest shit I've ever heard. Yeah, you should chuck that in right now. Like, just fucking clip straight to it. What other clips you got?
I don't actually know off the top of my head. I put some like mana bar stuff in there, I think, when we were talking to Yahtzee. Because that was sort of, I feel like that was our first, maybe we're not doing it in our recording studio podcast, because that was pretty early on, where we all went up to Brisbane with the mana bar. Jung was there. I don't think Jung was officially part of the podcast yet. Like, Jung was on quite consistently for about a year before we were like, do you want to actually just be here all the time?
Yeah.
Instead of asking him every week. Yeah. So that one was pretty good. I liked a lot of our like all our live stuff. I thought was really good. The like the very first PAX that we went to, where people actually showed up, I thought was pretty surprising.
It was very surprising. I thought it was gonna be fucking 12 people.
And that was also our last Game Arena podcast. I believe.
Yeah, it was because I was there, destined to be let go from Game Arena that weekend. It was a very odd weekend.
Yeah.
For me.
But then Steve Farrelly was kind enough to say that he'd host the show. And then so we came up with a different name. Not really. We kept the same name. We just changed what it stood for, I guess.
Yep.
And I feel like somebody suggested that on an email. Like, I don't think we came up with that.
The name change?
Yeah. Like, what does it stand for? I think it was a
question. Yeah, it was a question asking what it stood for now that we're no longer affiliated with Game Arena, which we absolutely hadn't considered at the time. And
because we never actually really called it the Game Arena podcast.
No, it was always just the Gap.
Yeah.
But yeah, we came up with the generic acronym podcast, the Gap podcast, and I think that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with video games.
Clever, no, which I think is appropriate. Like
yeah,
we are like we're pretty fucking good. Anyway. Yeah,
the other live one we did was again at PAX, and we had our writer sheet. I've got this clip in there as well, I believe, where we filled it out and we asked for M&Ms. We asked for a giant sombrero for each of us, and an esky so we could put our alcohol in. It just like the writer sheet. So when you fill in a PAX, like you're gonna do a panel, you basically put in like what's the name of it, what's it about, who's gonna be in it, and then like do you need anything like audio equipment, or like does it need to be recorded and things like that. And we filled it in with stupid shit, and they actually got it for us.
Yeah, and we found out later that that was entirely the enforcers as well. It was because we went up to thank Yug for sorting this out, and he's like, no, I didn't do any of that. I was like, you fuck off. But yeah, the enforcers did it, which the enforcers fucking are the beating heart and every single fucking vein.
Yeah. And they just thought it was hilarious because they hadn't seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Before, so they're like, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, which is fucking amazing.
Yeah. So that was, I think they were our two maybe primary podcasts we done live at PAX, and then we the other one we did, which was the PUBG, the Gap Presents PUBG live. So this is when PUBG was first. I don't think it had even come out yet, or it was very close to being released. Because PAX was on about October around then, right? Usually around Halloween, and PUBG was due out, I think, December or around that stage. And so we had planned this podcast. Well, you'd planned a lot of it with like getting on like pro gamers. So we got some people on the show, and we were gonna play PUBG while talking about it. I guess that was kind of the idea. And we get there.
So we had like 4 people, and I was going to host because I can, like, if I play, I'm not going to be able to talk. But if I don't play, I can talk fucking ever. And so we had 4 other people who were going to play. And it was you, Nate, who was still playing PUBG at the time and didn't hate it. Then Pekin and Nutshot. Pekin was, I think, at the time ranked number 1 on the OC leaderboards, and Nutshot was the team captain for Team Immunity.
Yep.
And so very, very, very good players.
We had other people there. Linksy was there.
Linksy was there as well. Linksy came in. He was with Team Immunity at the time, and came to join in. I think he took. Did he take Pekin's spot? Maybe. But we had some fucking spectacular players, and then we had you and Nate. you know, good
Yeah,
enough, I guess.
but we get in this thing, and these PCs that they had set up were like the biggest potato. It's like they couldn't run
Dell
PUBG.
Inspiron fucking Pentium 2 fucking with like TNT 2 graphics cards, some fucking shit. Like they couldn't run fucking Candy Crush, let alone PUBG. But and like they had fucking like mice with fucking balls still in them, and
Yeah.
like absolute nightmares. And I definitely felt like I'd been hospital passed for the 50th time
Yeah.
that day. Yeah.
And at that stage, I think we were advertising like the actual panel, and
Yeah.
Microsoft reached out to me and said, "We've got someone that's coming out for PUBG, and we'd like to get him on the panel if that's okay with you." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And it ended up being PlayerUnknown, and so we started talking about this collaboration. And I think at that stage you knew it was happening, but then they said to me, "Don't tell anybody. We'll make it a really big surprise. Like, we'll just have him show up." And so I don't even think they announced that PlayerUnknown was going to PAX at all until like he kind of just showed up. And and so I told you like, he's, because that stage you knew he was coming, and I'm just like, they've told me he's pulling out, like he doesn't want to do it anymore or something like that. And so it kind of threw a big spanner in our works for that idea, because the head of Microsoft in Australia is basically like, don't tell Joab, we'll make it a surprise. And like all their PR team is like, just you're the only one that knows he's coming, and we'll just pretend like it's not, he's not doing it anymore, and it'll be really funny. So I'm like telling you, I've told everybody this. It's like he's not coming anymore. He's had to pull out. He doesn't want to do it. And you were raging on that day because you found out he was there and he was doing all these other shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty annoyed because I'd also like I was spending $100 on like getting shit tons of Gami chicken, like Korean fried chicken, and like I was putting effort in, right? Like I was like, surely he can show up. Just fucking pop his head in. Say hello. You know, like this is the fucking PUBG panel. Like, surely. And you're like, no, he's not, he can't do it. He's not coming. I'm like, this is fucked. This is so fucked. Like, they're not gonna fucking stream it. Like, so you know what am I getting out of this? All right, like, probably nobody's gonna fucking show up. I'm buying $100 of chicken, and we're gonna play on fucking shithole PCs to nobody for no reason, and it's gonna be fucking garbage. So then I got drunk.
We didn't get drunk. We had a couple of drinks before we started.
Yeah. You hear people tell it later on, and I was like falling over the place. But the thing is, right? I know what I'm like. I actually. I've been drunk before. Surprisingly, you might be shocked to hear this, but I've been drunk before, and so I actually know every single stage of my drunkenness. And if I can still remember every single thing that happened that night, up until like hours after the panel, at least, if I can remember everything that happened, then I wasn't drunk. Because, yeah. I don't start falling over the place until I have already blacked out, or at least blanked the night. Like I've got fucking autopilot for days when I'm drunk, and yeah, like chicken. Speaking of like on the topic of chicken, right? The Borderlands trip earlier last year. Where I woke up in a bed next to a fucking box full of fried chicken.
Yeah.
Where I don't remember how I got the chicken. And if we reconstruct the evening, it doesn't stand a reason that I would have any chicken.
Yeah, we still don't know where the chicken came from.
Because yeah, the only thing we have is the chicken. And then we've got eyewitness accounts of Nate walking me to my fucking hotel room because I was too drunk to fucking function. And then at some point, me leaving because there was no record of me calling fucking room service. There was a big box of chicken that came from fucking nowhere. I never got undressed. I passed out on my fucking bed and woke up exactly at the time that I needed to fucking wake up to attend the event that we were there for. Like this, that's drunk. That's me drunk. Me not able to remember walking somewhere and purchasing chicken in a frankly fairly shady part of fucking LA. While too drunk to remember anything, and I was still clearly fucking capable enough of ordering chicken at that point. So
couldn't have been that bad.
It can't have been that bad on the PUBG panel, but I do still hear about it. Anyway, that was fucking spectacular.
Yeah.
That was an amazing surprise. You definitely zwar the fuck out of me. Afterwards, Brendan Green said he had a fucking ton of fun. It was the best thing he'd ever done.
Yeah.
He felt like a fucking rock star. So mission accomplished on that end, I guess. It was not supposed to be 60 minutes interview. It was literally just a fucking dumb panel where we were eating too much chicken. Though we did get complaints. The other feedback from the event was that it was the first time that people had emailed the global manager of PAX while the panel was still on to complain about the panel and its host because I was drunk and swearing. And making fun of the creator of the game and being toxic. Being toxic because I didn't shut down people from saying. Well, I can't even remember what they're saying. It was something.
Some of the shacks, right?
Yeah, fuckboy shacks, I believe, was the term. But my term was shit cunt shacks. So my term was probably worse, but I just went with fuckboy shacks. Apparently I didn't shut down the language fast enough, even though I did shut it down. So I guess you can't win at some point. If you're asking the audience stuff, I don't know that, and it's an R18 panel. I don't know that I can be held responsible. But whatever. Let's not dwell on that shit. It was a fucking amazing panel, and sadly, it was not recorded in any way. Like so many of the things I do at PAX, they are like you have to be there type things.
It was recorded. I think I'll have to check if I've got a copy of it, but I do know that I got something, and it was just like inaudible. Like you couldn't hear it. Like they hadn't recorded it properly. Like they were recording some mic that was sitting on a table somewhere or something like that. So that's unfortunate because that's the biggest panel we've ever done. Like it was packed.
Oh, it was huge. It was proper packed.
Yeah.
But yeah, good times. Good times.
It was a good one.
Anything else?
Highlights. I don't know, man. Like there's been a lot of stuff. There's
Ashley Jenkins slapping me in the face for saying cunt was pretty funny. I don't remember what episode that was, but it was pretty amusing. She it was pretty classic storytelling as well because she set the stakes.
Yeah.
She's like, Joe, if you say that word one more time, I'm going to slap you. I'm like, what word? Cunt. And then she slaps me. And you can see on the fucking, on the file, on the recording file, the spike. Like, there is a very clear slap. So that worked out pretty well. Maud and Ray from Geek Bomb, back when they were still together at Geek Bomb, coming on to talk about scary movies was pretty entertaining. That was a good one because it felt like they were like our fucking polar opposites. So yeah, that was good. There was another guest that we had that I thought was fucking amazing, but I can't remember off the top of my head whomst it was. Oh yeah, the fucking Raw DLC boys. This is where we met Nate. But we established a long-term rivalry with Raw DLC. That was essentially it was basically the NBA versus the NBL is how I viewed it. But yeah, like so.
Wait, where would you put the Australian Gamer Podcast? Would they be like European basketball?
Does European basketball play one game a year and miss entire years in a row, or
okay,
the Olympics,
the Olympics,
the FIBA World Cup?
Okay,
terribly run and extremely infrequent. But some surprisingly high quality basketball.
Yeah, high quality
basketball. Yeah. So yeah, Josh Philpott, Dave Kaziki, and Nathan Lawrence were on the Raw DLC podcast. I never really understood the name, but they would come on. We'd do like crossover episodes quite often, and their format was essentially the same as ours, but they specifically attempted to stop at 1 hour.
Yeah,
like their aim was to stop at 1 hour, and then after a couple of podcasts with Nate, because I think Nate was a late addition to their podcast. I don't really know the history of their podcast, but yeah, I think he was a later addition. I think it was Dave and Josh for a while, and then yeah, Nate came on, became a regular guest, and their podcast, they were a 90-minute podcast, and then when we would do our crossover episodes, they were like a fucking 3-hour, 4-hour podcast. Because welcome to the show, gentlemen. Podcasts go for 2+ hours or else. But yeah, so we go on their podcast and they'd come on our podcast, and it was generally a pretty fucking entertaining time, because I think they just hammed it up, right? Like they hammed up the rivalry. We hammed up the rivalry on our end, and yeah, it was just a lot of shit talking alongside some genuine discussion of video games. So yeah, I always appreciated them coming on. So yeah, that's about that.
I'll add some. Well, I can remember. The spoiler casts we've done. Like I feel like they're very different to our regular episodes. Like we try and have a bit of fun. We like to go a bit sideways, off track in these ones. You know, it's what's the tagline for the Gap? A podcast mostly about video games. Like I don't know.
Yep.
Like we mostly talk about video games, but we also talk shit sometimes for about an hour.
Yes.
But the spoiler casts have been pretty like on point, and I feel like the critical analysis on those ones are, I would say, high, like a high bar. We generally don't fuck around on those ones.
No, we go deep into everything about a game.
Yeah, and you know, we've done Prey. We did a PUBG one at one stage with some of the pro gamers that were playing back around then. We've done Red. Did we do? No, we didn't do Red Dead. We did God of War. We did Dark Souls 3.
We did Mass Effect 3.
Mass Effect. We did BioShock Infinite, I believe.
I think. I don't know.
I thought we did a BioShock one as well. Yeah.
I think the Mass Effect one might be my highlight of the spoiler casts, because we went like so deep into the game itself, the trilogy, and the meta narrative around the game. And yeah, I think that was like a fucking 4-hour or 5-hour podcast. Some shit. It was fucking long about a single game. And we went all the way, and it was you, me. I think our guest was Alyssa Harris from Flat Earth Games. And yeah, it was in depth. It was some shit. It was good. Yeah, that was a really good one. And yeah, we've done like I think all our spoiler casts. I would love to do more spoiler casts, but it just doesn't. The timing just never fucking works. It is so hard to put one together to get the time. So speaking of, on the topic of fucking spoiler casts, we will be doing a spoiler cast after this, well, tomorrow. So there is a spoiler cast coming this week.
Yeah.
We're doing it. We're just flat out doing it. I want to put a shout out to Spec TV, who inspired us to do this. You can check out Spec TV. They're doing like we'll talk about it more tomorrow on the spoiler cast, but they're doing like a platform to promote and distribute Australian entertainment, and it's a really interesting idea, a really good idea. They got an app coming and all that kind of stuff. It's like, so basically short films and short series, like stuff like that, but all Australian creators and stuff, which is a really, really cool idea. They inspired us. They contacted us and inspired us to do a spoiler cast on basically anything at all. We chose Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, and the intention was to do it just after we had watched the film, which never fucking happened. Just for a fucking billion different reasons, but we are doing it this week. It's happening, and yeah, it should be a fucking interesting one.
It's gonna be long. I feel like it's gonna be long.
Well, considering that movie is about 6 movies in one, yeah, it's gonna have to be fucking long. Yeah, like it's gonna be good, but yeah. Spoiler cast. I would love to do more of them. I always wanted to do one Red Dead Redemption, but yeah, too difficult to fucking time it. That's a game where I feel like I need to have just played it, played through the story to talk about it, because there is so much. That's like fucking 6 movies in one as well, except it's spread out over fucking 50 hours. Yeah, there are a billion games that I could dive into forever. The Witcher 3 would have been a good one.
I feel like this year, like we'll probably talk about this stuff later, but like Cyberpunk, I feel like will be one that we're probably going to have to do.
That one fucking rad.
Yeah.
But yeah. Some huge games that we just never have enough time to fucking. Because like the point of the spoiler cast is to go even further. Like we already go real deep on games on this podcast, but the point of the spoiler cast is to go even deeper again, which it's an awesome idea that we just can't fucking execute as much as we'd like to, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know, there's a lot to go through for these episodes, so I don't know if we had some suggestions. Should we go through them now while we're just talking about this stuff?
Yeah, let's do it.
You're gonna have to go through them because I can't from my PC. I guess I can open my phone.
Easy peasy. Let's have a look. Okay, so on our Discord we got people to write in their favorite bits. Joby started. That's me. The one where I went into way too much detail about how I didn't specifically want to fuck a squid cat. But I was annoyed that I couldn't fuck a squid cat in Mass Effect Andromeda. That is a classic. And I already mentioned it, so good one, Joab. Klebo writes, the one where you compared Ghost Recon Breakpoint to spaghetti with Skittles.
Oh, yes.
Can also chuck on Sekiro Pizza. The food analogies are pretty good. Spaghetti Skittles were like, that felt inspired. That felt properly inspired. Like, that was some genius shit. We were fucking on our game with that. I actually don't remember Sekiro Pizza. Do you remember Sekiro Pizza?
I feel like I do, yeah. I don't remember the specifics, but I do remember you talking about it.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great, Luke. Thanks.
I don't know. I just remember you going on about it because I know you didn't like Sekiro.
I didn't love Sekiro, yeah. It's true. The one where an emailer compared Valve to Dangez writes, the one where an emailer compared Valve to a cartel and everyone lost their shit from somewhere between 40 to 60. The Dear Dad emails were always a hit too. We know the Dear Dad emails were you, Dangers. Don't fucking pretend. But yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure because Dangers always writes the most fucking esoteric fucking emails / questions. So Dear Dad seemed like it was up his fucking alley. No,
I don't
no,
know.
you don't think so? I reckon it's Dangers. That was always my theory. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Dear Dad emails. They were so fucking weird.
They were pretty good. I remember Jung just couldn't keep his shit together.
No,
Like
yeah,
whenever that happened.
Yeah, that was his favorite shit. So they were just not related to podcasts at all, like vaguely.
Yeah. There was a clip that I was getting, and I can't remember if it was the prank one, but it's just like Jung laughing for about a minute. Like he cannot stop. I had to cut bits out because it was just him laughing for 10 seconds, like straight. He couldn't keep it together. Anyway,
Gold.
Yeah, they were good. I like to do that emails.
Yeah.
But I do remember the Valve email as well. Like
I vaguely remember it.
We went
as well,
deep on that, like
because
trading
it was
for hats and things.
Such a fucking revelation.
Yeah.
Bonnie McBeef writes, the one where Joby frothed at the mouth about death walking simulator of 2019's Stranding. Actually, all since that first one. Side note, I never bought the game, so you saved someone. Yeah. Death Stranding still fucking tease me up. Fucking, it's bananas. It's just a fucking wild situation. I cannot. I'm still flabbergasted at the reaction to that fucking game. Von Molotov writes, Heath starting in 5th place and ending in 5th place. Also, Heath talking about Deus Ex Human Revolution and strippers, and Joby versus Rugby League Live. Heath starting in 5th place and ending in 5th place. That episode, I actually vividly remember zoning out while he told this story, and then like when he said and then I managed to finish in 5th, and like it was like it came crashing in on me, like that fucking scene in Inception where the fucking city like folds in on itself, and it all fucking came crashing in on me. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Are you fucking joking? Your story is you finished a race in the same place you started in?
Yeah.
Infuriating. Heath murdering sex workers in the Deus Ex games. It wasn't just Human Revolution. He was indiscriminate. He would find them in all the Deus Ex games. It was extremely disturbing and highly entertaining. And yeah, versus Rugby League Live. Holy shit. It's like Death Stranding to me. Like I just never saw it coming. Right? Like I could not have anticipated it going down the way it did.
Yeah.
Because it was just so fucking out of left field. It didn't make sense to me. It seemed like it was a foregone conclusion. Everyone fucking knew it was bad, right? Like, but yeah, no, just, and yet somehow, my fellow journalists, colleagues still interview that guy and give him the time of day, even though he is clearly vehemently anti-press. Yeah, that's some shit. Simo Templar. A lot of my favorites are above. I always enjoyed the Chicken Challenge episodes. I always have a special place in my heart for the first Australian Gamer Gap crossover episode, as it was the first episode of the Gap I listened to. The Australian Gamer, we literally stole the idea. The idea for the Gap was, what if we did the Australian Gamer podcast, but regularly, but actually did it once a week. Yeah. That was the entire fucking elevator pitch for the Gap, was what if we did that but every week. And yeah. So getting those dudes on, I love Yug and Matt to death. They're fucking amazing dudes. They're both amazing. They're both like, yeah, really like my big brothers, like my two fucking dorky big brothers. So yeah, I love them to death, and yeah, it was a fucking highlight for me getting them to do a crossover episode with us as well, especially because I shit talked them the entire fucking episode as well.
Hmm.
I think I was talking about how I discovered you, and they stole you from me, and like because Luke came to Luke joined the Gap before he was writing on Australian Gamer, and yeah, you came to was it a UFC?
Yes, it was a UFC. I think it was the
event?
first UFC.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, Game Arena held like a come play the game early competition and got a whole bunch of people, and then I proceeded to get really drunk, and you were a rad dude, and so yeah, we just sort of fucking went from there. So yeah, I was talking about how they stole Luke from me, so I stole their podcast idea, and we were even and all this kind of shit. No, fucking hilarious. And the chicken challenge, what a fucking inspired idea, an inspired concept. The chicken challenge, to eat, what was it, fucking 12 pieces of chicken and
Like a wrap and a burger. Like I think it was like a meal.
Zinger box meal. A Zinger box, so a burger meal with three wicked wings and a 12-pack of chicken before the end of the podcast. And oh no, not yeah, 12 wicked wings, not 12 pieces of chicken, because we couldn't get hot and spicy down here.
Hmm.
I wanted hot and spicy, but the best you could get was a wicked wing. So yeah, you get 12 wicked wings, and yeah, inspired idea. People still like PR people ask me if I'm going to do a chicken challenge.
Oh yeah.
They want to do a chicken challenge. I've done chicken challenges off air with PR people who just want to fucking eat too much chicken and talk
Yeah.
shit and get like, and they call it a chicken challenge. It's a classic.
Yeah, I've had the same thing. People be like, "When are we going to do it again?"
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm too old for this shit.
Oh my god, I had the truth. My wife went to the doctor. She like sprained her knee. She may have torn the meniscus tear in her knee. Yeah, not good.
Can't be playing basketball anymore.
She can't. She's at least benched for the rest of the season. But yeah, so she went to the doctor and she was coming home and went past KFC, and she's like, I should have gone KFC on my way home, and so then like she got home, she's like, I wish I'd gone KFC. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going back. So I went and got KFC. We were gonna get it like on menu log, but it was like fucking $9.50 for delivery. They were fucking well taking the piss. So instead of doing that, I just rode my bike over to KFC and ordered it on the fucking KFC app. And I don't know if you know this, but if you go on the KFC app, I don't know if it does it over there because the KFC's shit. But here,
KFC's alright now.
KFC app.
I think they fixed it.
How could they have? They still don't do chips.
The chips at KFC are pretty good. Back home.
So if you go on the KFC app though, here, and you drag the menu all the way down to the bottom of the screen, a secret menu pops up, and you can buy shit that doesn't exist on the regular menu that you can only buy through the app. And this I don't know, the newest thing is a triple stacker burger, which is three fucking zinger fillets on top of one another with cheese and bacon in between each layer. It is a fucking heart attack in a fucking in between two pieces of fucking bread. I ordered it obviously on Monday, and I got fucking 90% of the way through the fucking thing. I had to take the bacon off. So I'm like, I think I'm actually like, I think I'm having a heart attack. I still finished the burger, but I just couldn't eat the bacon anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's just too much chicken. It's a crazy amount of chicken. But yeah, we should do another chicken challenge. Nice one, Simo. Frisco writes the story of Joab and Co. playing Edward 40 Hands. Holy shit. Edward 40 Hands was spectacular. Played it twice. I'm sure I told both stories on the podcast, Edward 40 Hands and Edward 40 Hands 2.
Yeah.
Edward 40 Hands 1 was a fucking train wreck, a nightmare, an absolute goof, a goof fest, which the low light was Nathan pouring an entire fucking bottle of malt liquor into my suitcase when he passed out on the couch. The highlight was me kicking my wallet over to the pizza delivery guy so that he could take money out of it and give us our pizza, and then we ate the pizza with 40s on our hands by dunking our face in the pizza.
Right.
I had to wash all of my clothes the next day because they were covered in 40 malt liquor. Thanks to Nathan. 40 Hands 2 was far worse. Far worse. So much worse. Way better preparation. I got packets of Doritos that I splayed open so you could eat them like a fucking bird.
Yeah.
Smashing your face into the pile of Doritos. We got enough duct tape this time because we had barely enough duct tape the first time, but we got extra rolls. And yeah, the problem was we had spent the previous 6 hours drinking tequila-based cocktails. So when we got to like the 40s, we were fucked already, like fucked. And then our good friend JC from New Zealand, from Game Planets, downed both of his 40s in record time. And everyone, and when he cheers in celebration, smashed the fucking 40 bottle all over the fucking hotel room.
Yeah.
And scene missing. Basically, from there, I woke up in the morning and
with
it was a fucking nightmare.
It was Borderlands 3.
I didn't even have fucking. I wish I had a bucket of chicken. I could have used a bucket of chicken.
Yeah. Was this the same event where the ironing board thing happened?
No, that was a different one.
The ironing board event, I'm pretty sure we've talked about it on here before.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Where you guys kept ordering like ironing boards up to your room and like they kept bringing them up. Like, what are they doing with all these ironing boards? That story in particular is world famous because I was talking to a PR person at an event within the last year overseas, and they had heard about this story. That's how famous it is. Like, they don't even work for that company, and they work in a different country somewhere, and they had heard this story. I thought that was amazing. Because they brought it up to me when they asked me if they knew somebody. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, did you hear this story about the... And I was like, yes, of course I have. That's amazing.
That is spectacular.
Yeah.
The best part of that was when the manager asked why we needed so many ironing boards, and Alan goes, because I'm doing a lot of ironing. And if I recall correctly, the manager goes, do you need more irons? And he goes, no, I brought my own. and the poor lady kept bringing up to it. She's like bringing up more fucking ironing boards, and she just kept coming back up to the. Oh my god! It was such a terrible fucking thing. It was a terrible thing.
Yep.
Classic. Frisco writes also this era, and it's the meme. Diablo 3 is a 6.5. They hated Joby because he told them the truth. I was fucking right. It was a 6.5 at the time, and it didn't become good until Diablo 3 2.0. I still got loads of hate, which is basically the the running trend of my game reviewing career.
Which we'll talk about later.
Yes, we will. But yeah, no, that was pretty good. There were some good podcasts in the old Diablo 3, fuck Diablo 3 era. Racy Race. Joby's reaction when he thought he might be getting a Muppet VR game. I was so excited. That was pretty recent. That was at the Game Awards just last year. I was so hyped.
That was something I was going to bring up as well. I like another highlight. I really liked that format of what we did.
Yeah,
because we've talked about doing that before for like E3, but it's just like back. This is back when I was in Australia, and like a lot of those shows are on sometimes super early or super late at night.
Yeah,
and just the energy behind that is like getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever and trying to do that. It's just like, man, it's hard.
It's rough.
But yeah, Game Awards was like a really good time to do that one, so I think it worked well.
Yep. No, that I thought that was a pretty good one. Although, explicitly doesn't work as a podcast.
Which was why, like, it's complimentary.
But like I think we were pretty upfront about that. I think that worked out. Von Molotov writes, any of the Fog game ideas? Which was some very early shit. Including the racing game that deletes your save file if you crash. So Fog was Fuck Over Gamers, if I recall correctly. And that was our game development studio that made games that were designed to fuck with gamers. So there was the racing game that deleted save file if you ever crashed. So you had to start all the way over again. But the idea was that it went really deep into the physics of the crash, so that you get to see like the soft body physics of the car, like fucking crumpling, and like then your dude would fucking like flop through the windscreen, like fucking just like ragdoll die, and we go all the way in on that shit, and then it would delete your save game and you had to start over again. The other, I think, classic was The Jewel, which was a point-and-click adventure game that I still want to make one day. It's still my dream. With the classics like CGA graphic style, and it was 1000% a pixel hunt, where you couldn't move on to the next room if you hadn't clicked on every clickable thing on that screen, and all of it, like everything you clicked on was like full of detail, and the next room would have like mild questions testing your knowledge of the previous room, so you couldn't continue if you didn't have the right answers. And all of this was an effort to lead into one of the fucking sloppiest Shaggy Dog jokes of all time, so that basically it would there would be no payoff for all of your effort. And it was basically just a lol, here's a fucking throwaway pun. And that was it. And it was genius. It was a genius idea, and everything Fog came up with, I think, was way ahead of its time.
Now Kojima's making those games.
Yeah, exactly. He's on Princess Beach. Baz, when I fought a knight in Dark Souls, JK, the time I bamboozled Joab several episodes using phrases like the one he just mentioned, Fortnite for life. That's pretty good. I was like, Fortnite? Oh my god. Yeah, he kept, Baz kept doing questions that were vaguely wordplay related. Like Fortnite related wordplay, and it took me a long time to catch on. The problem, I think, is that I read the questions like live.
On the spot.
It's the first time I'm reading them, so like there's no time for me to analyze them. I'm mostly trying to work out how to fucking say them correctly, without mangling them. I know for a long time we did letters where I would pronounce them exactly as they were spelled. So if there were any typos, I would pronounce the typos, and then I'd rail against the person for sending in an email with typos or punctuation errors.
Yeah.
Which I think scared a lot of people off from sending in emails. But What are you gonna do? No, that was pretty classic, Baz. Dangers writes, when Joe went on the Oz Gamers podcast and wouldn't stop talking about how revolutionary the Daxter PSP game was, that doesn't sound like me, Dangers, but I did love the Daxter games and the Jack games. So never had Jack of the Daxter games, if you will. Dangers did like the Baz thing with Fortnite, except he never ever like gave up.
He's still going.
He's still doing Jack and Daxter things. Von Molotov writes, when Joby's desktop background was changed over the course of the year without him noticing, I think episode 196, which yes is the Gary Busey episode, and it is literally titled "The 1 Year Prank," and it was a mad. My desktop background is blue. It's still blue. It's flat blue. To this day, I've been scarred. I do not have a fucking picture on my background anymore. It is blank. Just so that I can tell if I'm being fucking pranked again on this shit. Yeah. World class. Jacob the Arbiter writes, I just need an audio montage of the angriest moments in Job's rants. To be honest, I'm pretty sad he chilled out so much. Yeah. So if you're new-ish to the podcast, I used to start every episode off with a rant about something that was ticking me off each week.
Yeah.
And some of the pretexts for these rants were pretty fucking flimsy. But some of them were like well earned. Like, you know, I was genuinely pissed off about something. But yeah, I'm like Slurms McKenzie now. I'm just so tired. I'm so tired.
You've wasted all that energy.
It's gone from me. I don't have angry energy anymore. I've just got sad energy now. No, but there were some good rants. I don't remember any in particular, but I do think that there was a pretty juicy Diablo one that went on for quite some time, and it was a pretty good idea. A pretty good way to start a podcast, I thought. A good hook. My Google just started fucking. My phone just looked up Hook,
All right.
the film with Robin Williams, because I must
trying
have
to
said
get angry.
something close to the the passphrase that starts my phone searching shit without me pressing anything. Jacob continues. Oh, and the game ideas from the early episodes, somewhere about it all. Yeah, that was our fog stuff. Being called Joab, I think it was in a restaurant after an E3. I remember Jormy. At E3. I went to Macca's to get breakfast at E3. Ordered the McGriddle, which is still the greatest breakfast of all time. And on the fucking on the receipt, they'd written my name, Jormy, Geormie, which is under no circumstances on no fucking planet is Jormy a name. There is nobody called Jormy. But worse still, like I said Joab. I didn't. There was no E sound. It's not like I was introducing myself as Joby. So I don't know how they got Jormy, right? Like bananas, absolutely wild. That one still boggles my mind to this day. And I get a lot of different names. I still get fucking tons of names. It's been a real trend on Twitter lately for people to be all like, oh, list all the ways people have said your name wrong. Or, oh, imagine having a name like fucking, they'll have like some fucking boring ass regular name. They'll be like, imagine having a name like Andrew and being called, I don't know, Andy or something. And you're like, yeah, I'm sure that's rough. People, Andrew, and people spell it Androo. And you're like, who gives a fuck? They still call you Andrew, right? Imagine your name is Joab, motherfucker. Imagine you spent the last 37 years of your life being called fucking Joab. Or not being called Joab, you motherfuckers, because nobody ever fucking says it. Anyway, Jacob finishes with all the times Heath was wrong about something, which is too many to fucking count. But yeah, Heath's opinions were always like so amazingly mundane and also odd. Like he just arrives at conclusions in the weirdest fucking way, and it was like that's why I was always glad to have him on the podcast, and still until he got like stuck on playing racing games all the time. Like I was really glad to have him on the podcast because he just I don't understand.
Well, you brought the casual gamer mentality to it of like,
yeah, exactly, right? Like he's like he wasn't thinking about this shit on a deep level.
Yeah,
but he was still talking about it like with the same fucking enthusiasm as us. And so it was like pure surface level, and you're like, but how did you arrive there? I don't understand. It was very enlightening. He was wrong most of the time, which is pretty classic. Yeah. Oh, it's popping off, and that's all the moments we had listed. Thank you everyone for writing in. That was some awesome moments. It was a fun trip down memory lane.
Yeah, I'll chuck some clips in at some stage, and hopefully they'll make sense.
Nice.
I don't think there's any angry moments in there. I'll try and maybe I'll go back and see if I can find something. But
there might have been one. I think the Rugby League Live one might. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when that was. I think it was Rugby League Live 3, and I think I wasn't even on the podcast. I think I like phoned in to like add.
Yeah, I vaguely recall that you weren't on that one, and maybe we were talking about it without you.
Yeah,
I can't. That sort of sounds familiar.
But
now.
I think I'm pretty sure I phoned in. I like sent a clip of me ranting about it, so that might be a good one.
All right, should we get into it then? Kick off with some regular stuff.
And before we do, I'm just gonna toast to 500 episodes.
I don't have anything.
Well,
I feel like I've got like 0 alcohol Heineken in the fridge that someone has left here. That's probably about it.
Sounds disgusting.
Yeah. Or I'd be cracking open a bottle of wine, and
I'll just going ham on a whole bottle of wine.
yeah. Probably wouldn't work out too well when my wife returns from work.
She knew what she was getting into. Anyway, to 500 episodes, and here's to 500 more.
Jeez. We're at the halfway point. Maybe.
That's my Yamazaki. I am desperately low on the old Yamazaki. It's getting dangerous.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Should we kick things off?
Yep.
PUBG. Let's just go straight to that.
Okay.
Why not? It's the most probably talked about game on this podcast. It's a fitting way to kick it off. Brand new update came out last night. 6.1 update adds a new map. Karakin adds in a bunch of new mechanics. So that map in particular has destructible environments in relation to buildings that you can destroy. And
yeah, I haven't seen buildings destroyed, to be honest.
Right. So it's got to do with the new black zone that they've put in there, which is the red zone, but it's a lot smaller, and it like just decimates buildings. It destroys them completely.
Yep.
And so that's in there, and that seems to be like a random, like they've got set locations on the map, but it just randomly happens. And then the other one is they've put in like basically areas on surfaces within these buildings that you can destroy using sticky bombs. So the way you'd kind of think about it is if you played like Rainbow Six Siege and you put like if there's a breaching charge you want to put on a wall, it's sort of like that, except this is specific walls you can only put them on to sort of create extra entry points. So that is something that's pretty new. Yeah, making you angles.
Entry, exit points, or angles of attack.
On top of that, some of the other maps they've put in the glider, which I think we've talked about before. They've made some changes to new season pass and audio fixes and that sort of stuff. For the most part, the big update is for the new map. And we had a chance to jump in last night for a few games, despite us trying extremely hard to play that new map. So
we got three games.
We had 3 games over the span of 3 or 4 hours we played.
Yeah.
So the way it's working in Oceania at the moment is there is a like basically random map selection, and in other parts of the world, so the bigger regions like North America and Europe, they have 2 playlists. One is random map selection, the other is like featured map list, which is the new map.
Right.
And so if you want to play the new map, you can just click on the feature map list and you can basically jump in and play the new map, or you can go play a selection of the old maps minus Vikendi, which they have removed from the rotation pool completely, which was the latest, or the last map they put in, the snow map. And so in Australia, at least, or Australia, New Zealand, you have to take a spin at just choosing the random map selection, hoping you get something that you like, which in our case did not happen a lot.
I think it might have been under 10% of the time. Like, we got really lucky right at the end where we got 2 Carricans in a row.
Yeah.
So that was 2 of our 3. But I was vaguely keeping track, and we got Miramar 9 times. We got Sandhawk 4 times. We got Erangel 7 times. So I think 3 amongst all of that is like sub 10%. I was surprised we got Sandhawk as little as we did, to be honest. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So the new map. Yeah, the when we landed on the new map for the first time, there was a black zone literally on us when we landed.
Like, as I landed, yeah.
Like, we had to run out of the fucking black zone.
Without any guns. I didn't have a gun because I was like, no, I need to leave.
Yeah. And I didn't see any buildings get destroyed.
I didn't look behind me.
I think it has to be like a fucking direct hit on the top of the building or something. I think it must be like very specifically triggered. I don't think it's like I think we were sort of imagining it was going to be like Firestorm in Battlefield 5, where buildings can sort of just be fucking destroyed. But that's not the case at all. And it's very much, it seems very much like a on-off type thing, where a building is either on or it's off. And because I haven't seen a building get destroyed, I don't know if you've got time to get out of a destroyed building, or if you're like on the ground floor and it's 4 stories tall or some shit, if it just immediately collapses and you die or what. Like, I'm not sure how that works, but it would be a fucking, like, it was, if it had destroyed, like, it's good that it didn't, because everyone's been talking about the loot situation on Carrican, and I haven't had a problem with finding guns or gear, but I have had a real problem. Like, my first game, I didn't have any problems with finding meds, but in our second game, I had fucking 20 bandages and no first aids and no boosts, and I must have spent like fucking, I don't know, 80% of that game running and bandaging, because I was either in the blue without boosts. The blue doesn't tick hard enough for it to be that big a deal.
Yeah.
But if you're under fire, you've got to get yourself up to enough health to actually live through being shot once. And so yeah, I had to bandage up, and then continue running. I didn't even have a first aid. Like I never had a first aid. No boosts. I couldn't like. I didn't have the fucking weaponry to clap back at the people shooting at me. Because I didn't have any fucking scopes. I was like iron sights only. And that's, I think the scope situation is the biggest one. Like, I don't mind if the best you can get on that map, because it's the smallest map in PUBG. I don't mind if the best you can get is a 3x. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think people need a fucking. We don't need like 8x and 6x and shit on that map. I think that would probably turn each game into a bit of fucking nightmare. If that last game we played and won, if those dudes in the middle of the field had fucking 6x or 8x, they could have been picking us off while we were on that fucking mountain. But instead, right, because like they could have been picking us off if they had a 3x as well, but like they would have
a chance,
yeah, we would have been able to shift, right? With a 8x, good players just don't miss. Like with the 3x, there is that adjustment period exists. That adjustment like system exists. Even the best players struggle with a 3 or 2x at that sort of range at like 400 to 500 meters. But they just don't. They don't with a 6 or 8x. They're just gonna hit their shots. So yeah, like I don't think it needs to be fucking. You know, even if they capped it out a 4x or whatever, I wouldn't have a fucking problem with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have a problem with not being able to get a fucking RDS or a holo. And I do have a problem with having to run around and spend an entire game with just bandages. I think that's kind of ridiculous. It's out of control. But yeah, that first game, we got pretty lucky with the circle. Although the circle was like over the entirety of the fucking map, everywhere on the map was inside the circle.
Yeah, it's pretty much no matter where you land on that map, if you're not in the circle for the most part, you're gonna be in. Like there was a situation later on where we played
in our second game.
Yeah, half the
where
circle
literally
was off the map.
An entire half of the circle was like, when we say off the map, I'm not talking it was over the water. I'm talking it literally was over a portion of like the game world that didn't exist when you pressed M.
Yeah.
Like it was cut off. It's fucking ridiculous.
I'm okay with that.
Oh my god.
Wait. Let me make my point. I'm okay with that if the tick damage is high enough, because that forces you to get into the circle.
Yeah.
As opposed to sitting outside the circle, which I think the tick damage is broken at this stage. It's way too low. Like the game, you would literally run out like half of the circle you ran around outside the zone and didn't take any damage like at all. And it was like 20 people left at that stage. It's so I think it's a good speed. I think it's a really good speed in terms of like the enclosure. So you can basically outrun that circle pretty easily. But it's not doing enough damage. It needs to tick really hard, and that'll force players into the circle. Whereas if you get like that that circle we got where it's half off the map, I think you just need to move. Like you need to get in. Maybe not the first or second circle, but at least the third or fourth needs to hurt pretty bad. Like give players a chance to get in on that first one. Like have them move. But I think that's the big problem they've got at the moment. I'm okay with having a really quick game, like a fast-paced, like get in, get out, 10, 15 minute. Because that feels like what they're going for. They're going for the, maybe like the Apex Legends sort of speed.
It does feel like they're going for Apex Legends speed,
Yeah, where you kind of, like on the run all the time, which is something in between. Like Sanhok is it's fast, but it's not like... You still got time to stop and loot and run around and whatnot. Whereas this one, it feels like you're constantly moving the entire time.
I don't like it.
Yeah,
it's not PUBG. I mean, I said the same thing about fucking Sanhok, but it's not PUBG. Like that's not what you're playing PUBG for. So the idea that I'm now forced to play half the maps that I'm forced to play are not PUBG. Yeah, I just don't think it's very good. I don't think they really understand what they're they're trying to do. I don't like. I think they know what they want to achieve. I just don't think they should want to achieve that.
Yeah, they to me it feels like they're just stumbling their way through, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. Uh,
Yeah,
like they've got this test server that they've been running the map on for the last week, and it
yeah,
seems like a lot of the feedback from that map hasn't been incorporated into the mode.
yeah,
Uh, like I guess the big one was the loot issue that a lot of people
yeah,
were talking about. And in the patch notes, it basically flat out says like we've taken your feedback from the test server and we'll implement those changes in the future patch. Like, but that's the point of some of like to test these mechanics
why
to see
have
if
a
they
test
work.
over?
And
Yeah,
if it's not working, then don't put the update out. Like, and it was at a stage where it was broken. I had the game crash on me like maybe 2 or 3 times
yeah.
while we were playing. The death
I have
cam
had a
wasn't
crash. Yeah,
working
yep,
properly. Like it was displaying the wrong information when you were viewing people, or it just wouldn't show you the death cam at all. It'd be like in the middle of the field. I had one where, sorry, it happened to me twice where I accidentally pressed death cam after realizing it was broken, where it would just like constantly load or it would just crash. They have since patched that, but
yep,
that was 12 hours after these issues like should have been picked up on a test server. So yeah, man,
yeah,
it just seems like they're not taking any of the feedback or issues that are in the test server, because like people were saying like, hey, these problems that we're having in the proper release were in the test server. Like what are you doing? Like it was on the front page of Reddit and nothing's been done with this issue. I just don't know what they're using it for.
yeah,
But yeah, it seems to be like that initial I think the tick damage is the biggest problem at the moment for that
yep,
specific map. If they want to go for that style of play, making it really fast paced, that's one area they need to improve on. The other one that I noticed was the terrain. Certain areas in the terrain where I would be trying to walk down a cliff or something and it's just too steep, and so your guy would just kind of like ski across the ground and then you'd hit the floor and then take a chunk of
yeah.
damage. Like an area that looked like you could climb it just is not. You can't walk
Like
on it.
you can't have mountains that aren't fucking walk upable in a map that is fucking smaller than a postage stamp. That doesn't make any fucking sense. And it's also not fucking clearly defined because the textures on the ground aren't significantly different. Like in other games, like think about fucking Skyrim, right? The parts you're not supposed to like walk up
Look like
are like look like they're not climb upable.
a different
Daisy,
shade or something like that.
like
Or
fucking or like armor obviously do, but like yeah, they have like a gravel texture or something to indicate that you can't walk up here and shit. No, that's not the case here. There's just parts like it feels like they didn't even fucking like who made this fucking map? Did they make it in fucking Speed Tree at a fucking whoop 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 whoop? We got a place to be, people. We're like I'm a level designer for PUBG and I'm working fucking 3 hours this year and that is fucking it. Bing bang boom. There's my fucking level. It's 2x2. Because it's the fucking pace of Sandhawk with the tension of Miramar, and apparently in this case the tension of Miramar is sand. And that's it. Like you'll love this. You'll love this. Don't worry about it. Oh, have you play tested it? Nah, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like fucking, I used what was that fucking? Remember that game? Was it Populous? Black and white maybe, where you
Mhm.
can like do terrain editing on the fly. I'm like, yeah, just fucking chuck a mountain over there and some fucking bunkers or whatever the fuck, and there's a city that you can blow up, and who gives a fuck? Let's go. Let's
Right.
go to the
Yeah.
pub. Like fucking yeah, they didn't even fucking like how the fuck are there parts you can't walk up on the fucking mountains? Like how are they not rounded out? That's my it's fucking so fucking shoddy. It's just terrible. I'm gonna keep playing for a little bit, but honest to God, feels like this might be it for like I might have to take a break from PUBG again because if I am gonna get dumped into like if I can't find something I like in Karakin, if it turns out it's another Sandhawk, uh, like it feels like Sandhawk again to me, and I'm feeling like it might already. I don't want to play Sandhawk, and I don't want to play Sandhawk 2 now things are smaller. So yeah, I might have to take a break from PUBG.
Hmm.
Like, which sucks.
My biggest
I still
issue with
really like Erangel and Miramar. Anyway,
like my biggest issue with Sanhok is I think it's too noisy because of the grass. Like that's
visually noisy. Yeah,
like there's too much going on. Like you just can't distinguish like what is a person and what is grass on a hill, because there are just so many sight lines in that map. So if someone's really close to you, it's just like you can't see anything. Whereas at least on this map, there's not a lot of that. It's pretty barren in terms of the terrain. There's a lot of giant bushes, which I'm surprised. Like that could be something we try. We just sit in a fucking bush, like the whole team, and just ambush somebody. Because the bushes in that map are enormous. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still keen to play more. It's not as bad as what I thought it was going to be in terms of like the camping aspect. I still don't understand the bullet penetration and being able to blow up bits of the wall. Like I don't understand why that is there, because they seem to be in spots that don't really, like, they don't add much. It's just kind of inside of like a specific room. It's not like Siege, where you can basically destroy like entire walls and rooms, and pretty much the majority of stuff that you can see in that game, that's not like an external wall. Like anything internally, you can basically destroy. Whereas this is just like this specific wall in this building has a couple holes in it, and so you can shoot through it. It just doesn't seem like there's any reason for that to be there other than to give like a camper more of an advantage to like hide in a corner and shoot someone as they come up the stairs, because that seemed to be where like a lot of those were that I came across. Like, oh, it's on the left hand side of a stairwell. Like, you're not going to be able to react quick enough to try and figure out like where this person is, and it's just like I just don't understand why it's in there at this sort of current state. It's just weird.
I don't know if you saw my Twitter though, but I got a wallbang kill in our game on Karrakin.
I know you're talking about it, but I haven't seen it yet.
It was pure Rainbow Six shit. Like, you're just like, well, I'm 90% sure there's someone through this fucking wall, so I'll just fucking empty into it. And they just obviously didn't work out that they could do the same thing. It fell apart for me because there was a third guy. There were like fucking 3 dudes hiding in the one fucking wall, in the one fucking room. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, why are there so... Like, if I'd known there were 3 of them in there, I would have just thrown a fucking explosive in there or some shit. Like, just fucking done it that way instead of like... I'm like, oh, yep, second knock. And my problem was you guys were fighting someone outside.
On the street. We were fighting the guys that were fighting them.
Yeah, it turns out it was a completely different fucking team. And I thought it was just the rest of the team. I thought it was like they were 2-2 split. And so I'm like, yep, 2 knocks. Well, time to finish. And then there's a fucking third dude coming out. I'm like, what the fuck? And yeah, it was quite the surprise. They got me. They got me good. But otherwise, it would have been pretty fucking cool. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a couple of good games on. We played Miramar and Erangel quite a bit as well.
Yeah. We had a real good one on Miramar. That was fucking bananas. That game was fucking nuts.
We had good movement on that one.
Like, real good movement. Like lucky as well. Definitely lucky, because I should have been fucking dead.
Yeah, I think I revived you like 3 times or something.
Twice, jerk.
Someone else revived you
then. But yeah, like we went into there were 3 teams left, and I didn't have a fucking vest anymore. Like, I was completely out of. I didn't have the opportunity. I killed the second last team. It was just one dude in the ghillie. I didn't get the kill, did I? I think I got fucking robbed. But I didn't have time to run out and grab the vest off him either. Because I was like, even after that, I had to heal back up again. Oh yeah, I got dropped, right? So I got dropped by the team that came third. Even though I emptied deep into this dude, JC got me back up. Jordan got me back up, and I had to heal on the spot. The circle was coming in. We weren't in the circle, and so I healed, and then while I was running back in, I lost about 80% of the health that I'd healed for.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. We get into the circle and it's at the crest of a hill. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna fucking power in, and you guys can fucking spot the other person based on when they shoot me. Because I'm like, I'm fucking dead. Like, this is done. I don't have a vest. I've got no health, and I just fucking sprinted straight through the middle of the fucking circle, and nobody shot me for some reason. And so I just bandaged up,
Yeah.
bandaged, and
because they were sitting at a different crest on the edge of the circle.
Yeah.
And where we ran into basically like a dip in the middle of the circle. And that was their problem, is they didn't stop us from getting into that dip because they had cover and we didn't.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now we had a bit more of an advantage because it can be, I don't know, like it can be sometimes easier for us as a player to shoot uphill, depending on your situation. Yeah. You can see a lot easier. And if you do start getting hit at and you hit the other person, like you've got cover at that stage and they don't. And so what they were doing was they started looping around towards the east side of the circle, which was more like an uphill. And when they were doing that, they could then see me, and so we were getting in a fight. But the other two guys were still in that crest towards like you, because you're in the like the west side of that circle, more like the southwest. And and so they immediately started shooting at you, and the guys that I was shooting at, he sort of backed off a little bit, and that's when we basically, I think you got a knock or something, and or maybe
I think JC.
Yeah, someone got a knock, and then that forced the other guy to come back.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, like I went up the hill, and he was just standing there, like looking at you guys. So I just started nailing into both of them.
Yeah.
And by that stage, it was too late. Like they had moved in the a wrong position. They should have stayed where they were.
Yeah, basically. So we got that Chicky D. We got a Chicky D in our third game of Karakin as well. We got third in our first one. But Jai had to leave, and I think he suicided, which it was my impression that his run out into the open field is what drew fire on the you other two as well, because it felt like they acquired you guys as targets after that. I felt like you probably could have gotten the win in that game. It was tough because they were at the top of two separate mountains on either side of you, but I still thought you guys could have gotten, because fucking the dudes on the left of you were just fucking potato as fuck. They weren't hitting anything, and the guys on the right were being forced to move. But once they had, they just had you guys too flush to allow you to get away with moving in once Jai moved out cover and drew their focus. The third game, that game was nuts. We were in was that the game where half the circle was off the map? I think that was that game, because we were the blue was ticking us, and I looted one building at the time. I'd only looted one building, and the blue had already arrived. I'm like, what the fuck?
And we landed in an area that 3 other teams had dropped in as well, but we had really good. We sort of landed away from everybody else, and then we started moving as a pack, sort of around the edge of the circle, and then that's when we were like, we'll just leave. Just leave these guys. The circle is here, and so we just ran along the beach.
Yeah. And then, we just basically rotated around, trying to stay in the circle as much as possible with dick all fucking gear, the entire fucking time, until basically we ran up on another team. Squirrel ran and face checked the other team, which was super dumb, but I think he just wasn't paying a lot of attention. Because we were pretty certain they were there.
Yeah, because I spotted the guy earlier.
Yeah. But Squirrel still ran straight through them and got fucking destroyed. We ripped them up. And we actually, the most gear I got prior to one other thing happening. But the most gear I got was off their corpses. Like, I'm like, fucking, this is it. Christmas has come. Because I didn't have the I ran into that fight with a fucking Vector and 40 fucking bullets. Like, I didn't have my secondary weapon. I think it was like a fucking UMP, and I had one clip for it. Because I didn't have time to fucking loot. I had like level 1 gear and all this kind of shit. And then, yeah, so we basically held that fucking ridge line for as long as we could, trying to force players to stay out of the zone for as long as possible.
Yeah.
So we could loot those bodies. And then while we were moving in, we got a bit gifted. We got 2 crates that, like a double drop of crates, landed on the beach near us, like about 100 meters away.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we went and fucking hit those crates. And I got an M249 and actual level 3 gear out of it. I believe Trigger didn't grab the AWM.
Yeah, it had a AWM and something else in it. Like a scope. And I said, you take it because...
Oh, okay. I don't. I'm pretty sure I didn't fire the AWM.
Right.
I don't think I heard it go. But I used the M249. That was fucking good. I love the M249. I'm such a fan. It fucking rips. Yeah, so I used that, and I had level 3 gear, and yeah, we basically we managed to like just pants one team. They held this little tower thing for way too long while we pushed up along the beach, and by the time I got like fucking 20 meters away with the M249, and there's just, once someone's that close with that weapon, it's so hard to do anything unless you fucking, especially if they're in all level 3. It's such a scary proposition because they never have to reload, so you can't go on the refrag. You basically just have to fucking weather the storm of 100 fucking bullets, and they've got armor for days. And yeah, so I ate a bunch of shit, but I managed to down one, and I took the other dude down to like fucking 5%, and he managed to drop me. But JC got me back up, and there was just one guy left. Got me back up, I healed up, and then we just hard fucking pincered the dude. We like surrounded him, the 3 of us left, and yeah, we got the cheeky D. It was basically a race to get that last kill. He was fucked. There was no question in my mind that we were going to win that game, and we did. It was good. So yeah, good cheeky D, and yeah, bit of wallbang action, but yeah. Otherwise, I'm not that crazy. Like, the pace of that game was still not what I wanted. Like, I'm happy to get chicken dinner. I'm happy to win, but
yeah, it's very fast.
I don't want to be running from fucking nothing to nothing to nothing constantly. I just don't find that fun. Like, I do see the appeal in making do with what you've got, but it feels bad to go into a firefight with vastly inferior gear and then come up short. Like, it just feels like there's not much you can do about that. That's not something that positioning can fix. That's not something that like better aim can fix. You can't out shoot someone. Like, the dude's trying to outshoot me with an M249. Like, they did it because there was 2 of them, but I still managed to down one and did so much damage to the other that JC Trigger was able to come in with the fucking refrag and
yeah,
like in a heartbeat. Like, it was instant. I think they were 1 bullet away from death. Like, what are you supposed to do there? Like,
yeah,
you're at that's so fucking lopsided. It's so desperately lopsided. And I know people complain that everyone always has level 2 gear in endgame fights in like the bigger maps, but that's even. That is fine. That means that they played the, like, it'd be like complaining about Dota matches like ending with like one team having more levels or something, right? Like, no, they played the laning phase correctly so that they get to have that stuff. They get to have that gear and those levels and those skills, right? Like, that's how the fucking game works.
Yeah.
That's how the loot phase works in PUBG. Everyone walks into the final fucking circle with level 2 gear, or maybe level 3 gear if they risked it for the biscuit. But like, that's it. That's the fucking game, right? But walking in, yeah, if you're walking into the final fucking circle with like fucking 4 bandages, a UMP with iron sights and like 12 bullets and level 1 armor, right? Like that's not making do with what you've got. You're fucking walking into Armageddon with like holding up a fucking dildo and asking the demons of hell to fucking cram it into you. Like you're fucked.
Yeah, and that's some of the things that the other battle royals have addressed, like the Apex and the Call of Duty Blackout of giving players ways to get into that last fight. Like even if they have decided to engage with other teams, they're still coming in even by being able to repair your armor. Or I guess the armor's the big one, right? And it's something we talked about that they implemented in Call of Duty, but like the armor repair kits with the in that game, and then Apex put it in with the batteries that you can recharge your shields with. And so it's rewarding those teams that are engaging and then are getting into these fights because they're ultimately have a better chance of coming across like, oh, this person has a level, a purple shield, or they've got a gold shield, or they've got a purple helmet or whatever. But they've finished that fight, they've won, and it's not like they're getting out of that fight in a worse situation. Maybe they'll get some medkits and whatnot, and maybe one of the guys will have a half-fucked level 3 vest, but there's a chance that you're coming out of that with a bad level 2 vest or something like that. And so those games address that problem by having these being able to repair your stuff. And because this map in particular is so fast-paced, if you get into those types of fights and you don't have time to loot, or you don't have time to check a building to see if there's a new piece of armor, you're sort of disadvantaged going into the team that's been sitting in a building for however long. It's been fed the circle the whole time. Yeah.
Had all the world to loot, and so they've got all their gear. They had a whole city to fucking loot through and whatever the fuck, and they don't have to rush from the circle or whatever the fuck. It's just too many layers of RNG, right?
Yeah. Whereas the team that has done that in Apex Legends, if they're the type of team that's going to I'm going to sit in this building the entire game, they're most likely not going to have that purple gold gear because they haven't been out there getting rid of other teams that have gotten drops or whatever. Yeah. They haven't found the AWM that's in a crate and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And sometimes that'll happen. Like you come across a team that's got the AWM, but their gear is all fucked. And so the pace is weird. So I think the buffing the loot might fix that a little bit by giving everybody a lot of that shit.
Making that they need to reduce the time of the loot phase, right? If it is going to be like that, then the loot phase needs to be fucking real short, so that you are running from the first fucking city, the first 2 buildings you manage to get it into, with something, right? They need to. I think that's because the loot phase can be any length of time, right? For the third person crew, for Crimson and fucking the boys, or Crimson in particular, the loot phase is 28 minutes long, I think, and then finally he's ready to start shooting cunts. But like most people, the loot phase is maybe the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game, of a round, where you land in somewhere with loot, and then you find the loot, you battle whoever else is there, and then you acquire whatever loot is there, and you move into the circle. You move into you then move into the positioning phase, and then you move into the final circle phase, where positioning phase is you acquiring the best possible positioning to put yourself in a position to win a round. Like, for example, you're an Erangel, 90% of the map is on the fucking other side of Pachinki. You're maybe if we go take this hill, we'll be in a good position to move in either direction should it go that way. And then the way the circle moves is to specifically fuck you and you alone. Which that might have happened to us. But anyway.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
It was a good call at the time. Until the game decided to give us the 5% chance of it actually landing in the worst spot, and it did.
Right, like in poker terms, I think you'd bet on that hand, right? Like, and then like, but there's never 100%, or there's rarely 100% hand in poker. So yeah, we just sort of, what are you gonna do? The other dudes had pocket aces, I guess, right? Like, we were just sort of fucked. Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Like, honestly though, I come back to the fact that if it is going to be the way it is, I don't want to play PUBG if I'm going to have to ditch from half of every map, because it's not just the experience of requeuing all the time. It's the experience of making my teammates do that as well. Like, I don't want to feel like a giant wet blanket for making them unqueue for a map all the time. I already feel bad about, like, half the time I'll play Sandhawk, even though I fucking hate it, just because I don't want to make people requeue again. It feels very selfish. But, like, that's going to be so much worse if half the maps are fucked. And yeah, so I don't want to fucking put my teammates through that. So, like, maybe the better solution is to just not fucking play it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we just need Call of Duty to bring out its fucking battle royale mode already.
Yeah.
Choppity chop.
Yep. All right, should we move on?
Yep.
We've talked about that for a while.
Rainbow Six.
Yep.
Rainbow Six Siege released its first a brand new map in a limited time mode, stadium. It's a fucking rad map. It's, you played in unranked, which is a bit odd, but it's so much fun. This map, have you played it at all?
Nope.
It's a brand new map, and it's made up of parts of a couple of different maps, all sort of stitched together.
Right.
It's this one kill house set in the middle of a stadium. But the really fucking cool thing is it's got all these like bulletproof see-through walls.
Oh.
And so it changes the information game wildly, and I love it so much. There's so much you can do with this information, and it becomes like a game of like relay and communicating that information as best possible to provide your teammates with the most amount of information so that they can get the frag. Because there's one particular points, like on B, on the what's it called, dormitory bomb site, on B, you can literally see down a massive hallway, and you can see them, they can see you, neither of you can do anything about it. And so it becomes this like standoff while you're trying to tell your teammate where they need to go to get the fucking kill and what they need to look out for and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's fucking rad. It's a really cool map. Just it does a lot of little things really well. Like interesting engagement areas. They've like blocked a lot of, like, you're still able to do the cheeky run out, but it's not an immediate thing. You've got to like move a little way so you can make the run out, but like at the same time peaks happen, so you got to be hyper aware of where peaks might be coming from, but they're also very easy to fucking deal with. There's not like a billion fucking windows. There's just a couple of key windows that allow a defender to like peek on certain choice entry spots. But if a vigilant attacker will be paying attention to that shit and won't get caught out. And so there's another element of the information game where you got to, not play your hand too soon as a defender trying for the peak, and at the same time as an entry player on the offense, you've got to be paying a lot of attention, like listening out for the noise while paying attention to setting up your fucking entry and stuff. And so yeah, there's a lot going on there, and yeah, you just wind up in a situation where a lot of stuff tends to work really well. and like you can like Habana your way to a significant a victory, even though you don't open a hole all the way into a site. Like you just open up some reinforced, like a few small holes, and you're in. Or you can just bust in uh, into a room and like try to, you know, stop the enemy from getting in. And force them on like to retake on the bomb. It's always bomb because it's unranked. And yeah, the amount of awesome like bomb plants I've had, these tense like moments where you get the bomb down and you're like, oh god, like I'm sure they're coming, and then you just manage to get it down, manage to get out the window, and then you just hit the deck underneath the window while a fucking hail of gunfire goes, and then you fucking get up on the crouch and like run around the corner so that you can like make sure you don't get murdered, and then you just got to stall. And yeah, I'm thinking about one in particular on I think it's called Office. And yeah, you put it down at that window, and you can basically just fucking. I'll do it as Havana, and I've got flashes as my secondary, and so I'll clear out A using a Habana hole, and then I will go in, plant at the window itself, and then I'll get outside, throw a bunch of flashbangs, like 3 flashbangs through the window. Usually with my Habana, I've taken out any Jaegers. Throw a bunch of flashbangs through the window to stall them, and then I'll run back over to my Habana hole, and I can see the majority of the fucking the bomb site through my Habana hole. And so when they try to entry frag, they're expecting me over the window, but I'm in this fucking Habana hole, and I just fucking cut them down. It's fucking rad. It's like really cool. Yeah, there's that. You get a lot of like I've been getting a lot of dickheads, but that's sort of it. Honest to God, feels like it's sort of just siege things. And they introduced a new battle pass for the Road to 6 Invitational.
Yeah,
and it required 3 wins in a row, like win 3 matches in a row, and I think I don't understand how they didn't expect it to make things more toxic, because it absolutely made things super toxic. People were just being shitheads to one another, and it was garbage. Yeah, it wasn't good. People were just being jerks. Like anytime it looked like they were losing, people were like fucking raging out. I wasn't paying. I'm not paying attention to the battle pass. I only looked at like what the battle pass required after I asked why my casual games kept having people quit, and it's because they didn't want to like have the loss. They were trying to avoid the loss,
right.
and so people were just quitting. And so I had like I think it was like 4 games in a row of casuals, and this isn't on the new maps, on old maps. So I went back to unranked, but I have 4 games in a row where uh, I was the only person who started on my team. I was the only person who started that map, and everyone else had rotated in after others quit. And I also had a bunch, not in a row, but just a bunch of games where I would join, like halfway through round 2, in a game where there was like 1 person left against a 5 stack, because everyone on the team I joined had died and left. And then when we went to round 3, half the people had left as well because they didn't want the loss. So we were like 3v5 on round 3. So my casual experience is matchmaking for fucking 50 seconds into watching someone play a round into round we're absolutely going to lose, and then we lose like once we've lost 3-0. That's it. Like it's just a terrible experience. It's like they haven't fucking thought any of this shit through. It just feels bad, and I don't understand. Sometimes it really does feel like they're trying to make the game more toxic. Like it feels like that's their intent, because nobody's this like it's accidentally inept out the fucking wazoo. Otherwise, like just how did you not think this was going to happen? People already leaving casuals all the fucking time. So what did you think was going to happen when you directly incentivize them to avoid losses? It's just stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway, Stadium is an awesome map, and they should make it a permanent map. I would prefer to play Stadium over fucking most of the maps. I think it's really well created. Call outs are easy. Information games on point. Yeah, it's a really good map. Yeah. Anyway.
Right, have to check it out.
Yeah.
Haven't heard anything about it except for you mentioning it. Didn't know it was a thing.
Now you do. Krunker. I've been playing Krunker some more. Krunker's the game. Krunker.io on your web browser is a shooter. I've stopped playing the regular games. It's just a bit dull. It's just regular old deathmatch. I'm now playing like the custom games, and they got like infected mode and stuff like that. It's just a bit of fun. It's worth checking out if you've got if your computer is capable of running a web browser. Go to Krunker.io and go to custom maps in the server browser. My favorite is infected, and it's classic infected mode. One person, one or two people, depending on how many people are in the server, start as zombies, and if they touch you, you become a zombie. You change to their team, and everyone else. It's like COD zombies. Like each map is created with these you got to get a certain amount of points that you can then use to open up a door, and the door allows you to get to the next portion of the map. And eventually you can get to a point where you can escape, and that's how the humans win, if they manage to escape. But it's a lot of effort, and the only way to open up doors is by killing zombies. And so there's this balancing act of trying to get as many kills as possible, but trying to make sure other people have kills so that they can buy better weapons and open up doors and stuff like that. You want to buy the weapons, you want to open the doors, and you got to the balancing act of all that shit. It's really entertaining. I don't know, it's just a bit of fun. I like it. Slay the Spire.
Yep.
I was inspired by maybe Raisty, I think. Raisty said there was a fourth act added in November of 2018 that I had no idea about, because I'd basically just given up as trying to play as the warrior class in the Ironbreaker in Slay the Spire. But apparently there's a fourth act. So you go through 3 acts usually, and I guess there's a fourth one. So I went and finished the game as Ironbreaker, and now I've now finished the game as each of the classes. But it just fucking hell. That'd be my I'm gonna play a game for a little bit game.
Yeah.
If I could actually turn it off once I start a game. But I have so much difficulty turning it off once I start a game. I'm like, I'll just do this next battle. I'll see what's in this next door. This question mark. I'll see what's hiding behind this. And then something will happen. I'll be like, I gotta test this out. And then fucking 3 hours have passed. I'm like, well, I've pissed away my entire day playing Slay the Spire. Another successful run. It's fucking spectacular. It's a fucking awesome game. If it ever comes out on mobile, I think I said this last week. If it ever comes out on mobile, I'm done. I am done. It would be so good on mobile. I don't know why it isn't, but yeah, it's amazing. Check it out.
Sure. So I've been playing a tiny bit of Hades. It's an early access game from the creators of Bastion, Transistor, and their most recent game was Spire. This one is more in the same sort of style as their earlier games, so Transistor and Bastion, like this top-down isometric RPG sort of hack and slash system, or hack and slash games. Whereas this one is more of a dungeon crawler, roguelite sort of game where you work your way through a dungeon, you die, and then you start again. But each time you go through, you're gaining knowledge, and you're gaining extra powers and abilities to sort of level you up, and so you use that to progress through the game. I haven't played a lot of it. I've played maybe 3 runs so far. The first one is very tutorial. You kind of play through it and you see how far you can get, and then you're introduced to the death mechanic where you die and then you come back alive and you've got to spend your currency to level up and introduce to all these characters, and then you go through a second time, and that's kind of like the loop that it throws you into. I'm digging it so far. It feels really good. The art style is very reminiscent of those their first two games, like the same sort of look as like a Bastion, or I'd probably say more Bastion than Transistor. I feel like Bastion was very like colorful and very like a lot going on in the environments and that sort of stuff, whereas Transistor was a bit cleaner, I think. But you can still definitely see elements of Transistor in there with that art style. But yeah, for the most part, I'm digging it so far. I think it's really good combat, interesting mechanics. I'm not sure like how far along in the early access sort of stage they're at, like if it's playable from start to finish. Like, do you know? Because I know you played it a bunch.
I believe it is finishable. I haven't finished it. You are capable of finishing it now.
Yeah.
But there's still got story stuff that they need to add.
Yeah.
To round that out. There's still another weapon, and I think like the gods are maybe 85% done. There's a couple more to add. So yeah, you could finish the game, but you wouldn't have experienced all of the game.
Yeah, it's sort of the same style as like Dead Cells when when we first jumped into that. You sort of play it from start to finish, and as development went along, they started adding more features and weapons and mechanics in the game. So yeah, it seems really interesting. I'm interested to like it's been on my radar for some time, but I always sort of like I'll wait and see how it goes. And they just released like a winter update last month. So I thought I'd jump in and just check that out. So yeah, it's a lot of fun so far. It's sort of my type of roguelike game with a really slick art style. I think the art style and the just the way it's sort of like the style, like how it's portrayed, like when you die and it's got that really slick like death screen. It says like you died type thing, but the way it's done is really cool. And this like the way you are sort of resurrected out of like a pool of blood, and yeah, it just like it's just oozing this type of style that it's going for. It looks very cool. So yeah, I'm definitely keen to play more of that one as they keep rolling out some updates. But
I've reinstalled it, but I can't work out what I was doing last time, so I'm having a real problem getting back into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm finding that quite tricky.
Right.
And I got back up to the second boss, and couldn't for the life of me remember how the fuck I was supposed to do it. So I just got fucking pantsed.
Yeah.
So it feels like I've taken a big step backwards in terms of my Hades knowledge.
Yeah.
But,
what's your thoughts on like the different weapons? Have you unlocked or used them? Because I unlocked the bow and arrow, and I started using it. I'm like, I don't like the feel of this.
I think when I got it, it was if there were other weapons, they weren't implemented fully yet, and so I didn't get them. I didn't use them. Yeah, I think.
I thought it might have been like Dead Cells, where you pick up you've got two weapons in that game, and you can sort of alternate between like grenades as well. But this feels like it's just the one weapon, and then you've got like your casting ability. And so when I picked up that bow and arrow, it just didn't feel like the type of game that I wanted to play. Like a ranged game. I just kind of wanted to bash things. So I don't know. Maybe I need to check it out. Anyway. Yeah. All right, I think that's it. Is it?
I think it is.
Yeah, yes. Should we do some news? Oh, no.
Yes.
Doom. We can talk about Doom.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So, I guess everyone's doing Doom previews at the moment.
Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal previews at the moment, and yeah, it's a hot topic. Everyone's excited about it. We were, I guess, every time Doom stuff comes up, I get fucking messaged by people on Facebook. There's I think it's just one dude. I think it's just one dude, but he makes new accounts all the time, and you can always like you go through like his newest accounts have already been fucking banned. But like he'll make an account and he'll message me to tell me I was wrong about something Doom related.
Is it your brother?
And here's why. No. Yeah, like yeah, this time he messaged me to point to a because I was already a bit on like I'm hyped for Doom Eternal. I'm very hyped for it. I think it looks fucking awesome. And I was already going through all the previews I could find, and I'd already seen the IGN one, and it, honest to God, sounded like they basically just fixed everything I said was wrong with Doom 2016. And yeah, I got a message, and it was this dude, and he's like, "Oh, listen to the No Clip podcast. Even the game director reckons you're shit." And I'm like, okay, and I had to listen, and he didn't say I was shit, but basically what he said. So Hugo Martin, the game director for Doom Eternal and Doom 2016, as it was, yeah, was basically talking about what they learned from Doom 2016 and what they changed as a result. And what he said, I put a clip of it up on Twitter. But what he said was essentially that what they found was bad players were able to find one element of Doom 2016 that they were able to exploit, and then they were able to use that exploit to finish the game. And then he directly referenced what he thought was happening was the bad players, the one or two people on Reddit, or that guy who that reviewer who gave our game a 7.5. What was he thinking? Yeah, they were exploiting one thing and it made it repetitive, and he used that as a jumping off point. Talk about how they like deeply playtested Doom Eternal to make sure that didn't happen again. That you weren't able to find one thing that you're able to exploit over and over again to victory. But that doesn't change the fact that he evaluated players who find one exploitable element as bad. And obviously, the crux of my favorite internet stalker's point was that I was a bad player, right? I was a bad player because I exploited this one thing. This is fundamentally false, fundamentally wrong. The point of like the situation where a player exploits something that is repeatable, that is not the fault of the player. If that is an unintended gameplay experience, that is the fault of the game developer. And I guess people semi-argued that he was saying that, by saying that they play tested against that, that's what he was driving at the same point. But the fact that he made a value judgment on the capacity of players who find those things, I have a huge problem with that, because it's not a habit of bad players. That's not something that bad players do. That is something that very fucking good players do. Way more often than bad players do. You will find that very fucking good players will do that, because that is a habit of competitive esports professionals. Esports professionals will find the most efficient way to find success. Sports it is in every single fucking game, right? You look at fucking. He talks about basketball in the No Clip podcast, right? You want to talk about basketball? I know you talked about basketball in your follow-up tweets about this, Luke. But the other, like the crazier thing, right, is like you want to talk about something that's repeatable and exploitable. Look at the fucking rise of Steph Curry. Once they realized that they could get players, and Steph Curry is obviously um, not the first player to be able to do this, but I think he's the most famous. But once they found that they were able to get players who are able to get 3 points 40% of the time, right, instead of 2 points 60% of the time, right? If you crunch the math on that, the 3 points 40% of the time, provided they come 40% of the time, are worth more, right? They're not worth stacks more, but they're worth more. And so you can see it. You can see the impact it has had on the NBA, that players and teams are heavily incentivized to construct their teams around shooting threes. And it's to the benefit and detriment of teams like in both directions. You know, obviously the Warriors are in a fucking huge a world of fucking trouble this year because their 3-point shooters are injured. James Harden, when he misses, what did he fucking miss yesterday? It was fucking
like 2 of 23 or something.
2 of 23. That's fucking woo. If James Harden's gonna miss fucking 21 of his 23 shots, right? You can't win that basketball. That's not 40%, right? The numbers, that is a repeatable and exploitable path to victory if the numbers equal 40%. If they equal whatever, like what, 1%? Or whatever the fuck. No, I guess it'd be like 4%. Like whatever fucking James Harden was shooting from three. Like if they're gonna equal that, like you're fucked. You're gonna lose that game. That's not a repeatable and exploitable path to victory, right? But that's sports, right? Repeatable, exploitable paths to victory are fucking sports and esports, and the habits of extremely good players, and the idea that bad players will find something to exploit. How does a bad player find something to exploit in the first place? How are they finding something like bad players aren't capable of that?
Yeah.
Good players find exploits. Good players analyze their efficiency on a fucking moment-to-moment basis, and they find a way to fucking win in the fastest way possible, which is essentially what I did when I said that the easiest and most efficient way to play Doom 2016, which of course I was directly incentivized to find. I was personally incentivized to find the most efficient way to play Doom 2016 by way of Bethesda specifically sending me a code that I had to get a review out for, like I think it was 8 hours after I got the game. So I had the minimum amount of time to play all throughout the 8-hour long fucking campaign. And then I had to write a review as fast as possible. I was directly incentivized to find the most efficient way to play that game, right? However you want to look at the review process, right? Bethesda knows the reality of the fucking the review process. They know how that shit fucking works. It's not their fucking first rodeo. It's not Bethesda's first time sending a fucking game out, but they did choose to send this game out as late as humanly possible. And then they explicitly said that multiplayer had to be was as important. And so I was hired as the mercenary reviewer that I am. I was hired to review the game as quickly as possible and play the game as quickly as possible, write a world-class review as quickly as possible, and then add on something about the fucking multiplayer as quickly as possible. Right? So I did that. I found the most efficient way to get through that fucking game. Right? That's Bethesda incentivized that. That's meta, right? That's some metagaming shit. That's some inside baseball nonsense that shouldn't have impacted my review, but that's the reality of it. And it was Bethesda's doing. Like, Bethesda made that happen, right? It didn't make it happen, but the reality was, at the end of the day, I found the most efficient way to play through that game as fast as humanly possible, because that's what I was hired to fucking do. And what that resulted in was me finding the most efficient way to play that game, which was running backwards through kill chambers with a fucking super shotgun, farming ammo when I needed to, only when I needed to, which I felt was directly counter to the rip and tear philosophy that was at the core of Doom 2016. And so I criticized the game for that. And I wasn't wrong, right? People who had the luxury to take as long as they want and play that game in half-hour bites may have had a different experience, but that wasn't my fault, and it wasn't IGN's fault. Maybe it wasn't id's fault, but it was Bethesda's fault for sending it out. And I can't be blamed for reviewing the experience that I had. And I also can't be blamed. I can't be fucking called a bad player for finding the most efficient way to destroy your fucking game on the default setting, which is how you review games. That's how games are reviewed. And then for the game to have one of the worst multiplayer, like, how is this even an argument? How the fuck do I still have to hear about people giving Doom 2016 a fucking 10, right? How did that game get a 10? Did anyone, like they said in that podcast, Giant Bomb gave it a 10. And Danny, you were really, good to it, right? Did anyone on Giant Bomb play Doom multiplayer past, I don't know, the first 15 minutes of that train wreck? Did Danny O'Dwyer play multiplayer? Fucking, is that his PUBG of 2016? Is that the game he poured 1,000 hours into? Did anyone pour 1,000 hours into it? Did they? I don't think so. I think it might have been widely regarded as terrible, like really bad multiplayer. Bad enough that when they went to make Doom Eternal, they scrapped multiplayer altogether, even though multiplayer has been in Doom since the dawn. That's weird, isn't it? That would be weird. It would be even weirder to review a game like Doom with a full multiplayer section and to never mention the multiplayer. That I think that would be weird too. I think it'd be weird to give it a 10 out of 10, declare it a 10 out of 10 game, and to never mention the multiplayer. I think that would be odd. That would strike me as odd. But I guess that's what happened over and over and over again. And if you were to take the multiplayer of Doom into account, I wonder what you'd give it. I wonder how many points you'd cop it. I wonder if you would cop it a couple of points. I wonder if it, maybe even if you thought the single player was a 10, would it be an 8, a high 7, a low 7? Could it be if you didn't think Doom's single player was a 10, if you thought perhaps it was hyper exploitable and the story in it was ignorable, it wound up going against its own stated philosophy. If you thought those things and were able to prove it through video footage, perhaps you would wind up at a different. Maybe you'd wind up at a low 7 at best. Maybe,
which isn't a bad score.
No, which is by the word sitting next to the 7, specifically a good game. But I don't know. Maybe that's how that one would fucking play out. Who knows? But at the same time, maybe 4 years later, you would have to listen to the game director of that game and the new one talk about how you are a bad player for exploiting, how essentially you played Doom wrong for playing the game the way you did.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that's not like, I don't see it as an exploit. It's just the game not incentivizing you to, like, he talked about, we wanted players to weapon switch and go from this weapon to another weapon and that sort of stuff. But the game never incentivized you to do that. Right?
Yeah,
which is what they're doing in the new one.
He said a bit later in the same podcast that, I don't want to be, I don't want to be an asshole, but if you don't want a weapon switch, then don't play Doom. Right? That's horseshit. I do want a weapon switch. I just want a fucking reason to, right? If someone said it in my Twitter mentions, but there's a reason why Counter-Strike pros buy the fucking they buy a fucking M4 every round, or they buy an AK every round, or the guy whose job it is to fucking AWP buys an AWP every fucking round. There's a reason that they use that one gun every time. Yeah. And the reason that, like, there's a reason that they never switch weapons except in extremely niche circumstances. It's because they're not incentivized to switch. That is hyper efficient gameplay, and yeah, it's mind boggling to me. Wild. Like, good lord. Yeah. It is the job of the game to incentivize the player to fucking do these things. If you want players to do things, you need to incentivize them to do things. By all accounts, it sounds like Doom Eternal is doing that, right? It sounds like that is exactly what they're doing, and that sounds fucking awesome. And I'm excited to play it, right? I don't think I'm going to get to review it. It doesn't look like anyone wants me to review it. I'll probably review it for the gap. But, yeah, like, that said, it sounds like they're doing that. It sounds like that ignorable story in Doom 2016. It sounds like that's not the case here. It sounds like it's got a very robust story with deep lore and complex storytelling. It sounds like, yeah, they've correctly incentivized players to play the right way. It sounds like they don't have a multiplayer that that directly detracts from the experience of the overall experience of the purchase. Yeah. It sounds like literally every single thing. If you were to go to my IGN review of Doom 2016, it sounds like, they don't want to, you don't want to take all the negative feedback too much on board, I guess. But it does sound like they turned my fucking review into a checklist of shit they need to fix next time, because they realized I was fucking right. I was fucking right. I was right about that. I was right about Hitman. No Clip's been pretty good for my ego, because I was right about Hitman Absolution as well. I was right about Diablo 3. That wasn't No Clip, but I was right about Diablo 3. I'm fucking right about video games. Time will show that I was right about Death Stranding as well. It's weird that nobody talks about that game anymore, even though it was, the most monumental game experience of some people's lives. They just don't mention it anymore. That's odd, isn't it? Yeah, I am basically right about video games every single fucking time. And that's basically it. 500 episodes of being right about video games. Yay.
If only we can get him to talk about PUBG, because you are bad at PUBG, but that's fine.
Right.
All right. Should we talk about some news then?
Yep.
Let's do some news. Not a whole bunch here. We might kick things off with the Rainbow Six Siege. The apparently next, or I guess this year, someone's data mined that there's only going to be 6 operators released during the
I didn't see this
during the season. So they've looked at the season pass, and it's only talking about 6 operators as opposed to what we've traditionally got, which is the 4. Right.
I mean 8.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean 8 updates. Sorry. 4 updates, 8 operators across the entire season. So I mean, does that mean that that maybe there's something in the middle there where they're doing something completely different? I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but it's sounding like there's going to be big changes this year. We know that they've recently changed creative directors on that project, so someone else is holding it up. We don't know if the new Rainbow Six Siege type. Sorry, is it Rainbow Six Siege?
Yes.
Yeah. The new title, whether or not that's going to have any effect on like the core game. So this is the sort of separate one that they're doing, like the spin-off game where you're like the alien invasion thing. Is it Contagion? Or that's a movie, isn't it?
That is a movie. No, it's... Oh, I can't remember. But yeah, it's 3-player for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess we'll find out more about that next month. About a month from now. What exactly is going on and whether or not this information is true. But seems like could be. So that'll be interesting. Next up, we've got some video game release date delays. We're 3 weeks into the year. We've already got a bunch of games being pushed back.
Yep.
I guess we'll go backwards. Iron Man VR has been pushed back. I don't know if this has been on your radar as a VR fan. No.
I wasn't paying attention at all.
So that one's been pushed back. Dying Light 2 has been pushed back, but it's also been pushed back without a new release date. So
it didn't have a release date, or as it was just Q2, right?
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, still.
But that's a game that Nate was talking about on our Game of the Year show that he's really looking forward to, that he saw at E3. This one here is a big one, Final Fantasy Remake. This is due out very soon, and they've pushed that back another month. So that we got to wait a little bit more for at least the first part of that game, because it's been split up into 2 parts, which I don't know. This seems weird, that one. Like, is it going to be a full price game? That I haven't even looked into it, but yeah, it seems strange.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Yeah. Avengers. That one has also been pushed back, and
you were saying that was to dodge something, right?
Well, the rumor was that it's been pushed back to try and dodge Cyberpunk, which we're releasing within like a week or so of each other.
Yep.
This is the leak that came out, and so they moved. Avengers moved into September, completely out of the way of Cyberpunk, which was, maybe a good change to them. We haven't really seen a lot of it. Like, they've shown it off a tad bit, but we still don't really know what that game is entirely. So yeah, they basically moved out of the way. See you later. Off we go into September.
Yep.
There were no release. There's pretty much nothing coming out in September at that stage. And then the next day, Cyberpunk announced that they're moving to September. Like a week, basically just a week after Marvel Avengers. I don't know, man. Like, this wasn't entirely surprising to me. I kind of figured that we're going to hear about it pretty soon, either in January or February, and whether or not that game was finished.
It does feel like a dick move, though, right?
Yeah. Or for the Avengers team, at least. But, yeah, I was definitely looking forward to playing this one pretty soon. But at the end of the day, like, if they're still working on stuff and they want to polish it, it seems like the type of game they're going for a Game of the Year contender. So if they want to make sure that game is 100% polished and, you know, that quality bar, they're sort of saying that they want it to be the best benchmark of a game that they not only they've put out, but a game of like the generation, to sort of dignify that. So yeah, I'm happy to wait another couple of months for that one. Mm-hmm. As long as it's not any longer. Just don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yep. So yeah,
it's a lot of delays.
Yeah, it's a lot of delays. I guess the takeaway is that there's no games coming out anytime soon.
No, not for a little while. It's looking pretty bare. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot came out. I didn't get a code. I was going to play it. But apparently it's middling anyway. I guess we got Warcraft 3 Remake.
Yep.
Next
soon. Week.
I think I should get a code for that. But yeah. Otherwise it's slim pickings, eh?
There ain't a lot coming out for a while.
Just having a squeeze.
I don't know what we're gonna do. What are we gonna do with this podcast?
Right? Like, 500 episodes and fucking the next 10 of them are gonna be fucking awful. Yeah, Doom Eternal March 20 is pretty much it. I guess we'll play some roguelikes. Dive deep into that shit.
Dreams is out next month. That's a month from now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I've seen so many cool things from that already, so I can't wait for that to come out for everyone. That'll be fucking rad. Yeah. Might check out some Minecraft again. I don't know. I'm searching for stuff.
Wild 8. We still need to get onto that one. The Raft. I haven't played any Raft yet either.
Oh yeah, okay, we'll play some Raft. We're gonna finish the fucking Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, there's a lot of Sea of Thieves stuff going on.
We're gonna finish the Tall Tale that we started. Yep.
Yeah. And then it's sounding like as well, I saw some news today that Half-Life Alyx, because the team did an AMA.
Yep.
That sounds like it ain't getting pushed back. They're pretty much saying that like the game's done. Right. We weren't going to announce it without a release date until we were confident, because I think the sort of thing that I read was like, we've already gone past Valve time at this stage. Like we knew we wanted to announce it when we were ready to announce it. So yeah, that should be pretty soon. Hopefully we can. I don't know. I guess you'll be playing that. I don't have a VR kit, so. Yeah,
I'll definitely be playing it. But yeah.
But otherwise, not like a busy. Like we don't have many announcements for the rest of the year. There's not like a lot of.
Not.
We don't know what the end of the year looks like yet.
I think the end of the year is going to be goofy, but otherwise we don't have a good picture on. Yeah. Like I think it's going to be crazy. I think, but it's very foggy at this point. It's hard to tell what it will entail. I mean, obviously we can make very educated guesses that we will get some consoles because we know that's happening, but otherwise, yeah, it's very difficult to tell because those consoles will come with something. Games.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, there has been talk about there not being a 10-pole release on the Xbox,
but at the same time, Halo Infinite is somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere. I mean, that could be a cross-gen sort of thing that they just chuck out at some stage. There's the talk of the Assassin's Creed Ragnarok. There was some leaks about that recently. I mean, that thing has been leaking all over the place for a while now. But a bunch of extra stuff has come out about that. That should be cool because it's, Ubisoft is doing like the off years for like the Assassin's Creed content, which is good. Kind of get you, wanting to play it a bit more. They're sort of alternating between like the Ghost Recon stuff, the Watch Dogs, which should be this year, I'm guessing.
It's supposed to be this year. It's probably the only thing I'm really, 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 really looking forward to out of Ubisoft, apart from obviously Rainbow Six content.
Yep.
I'm fucking out for Legion. I can't fucking wait. But yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the other big one we've got here is Last of Us Part 2 was another game that was already pushed back. But it's quiet.
When's the Forest 2 coming out?
Oh, that doesn't have a date. I don't think. I'm hoping this year.
I forgot about Game of the Year. Game of the Year 2020.
Yeah.
On May 22.
May 22. Man-Eater, okay. Yeah.
The shark game. We're going to get to play as a shark. April 24, Predator Hunting Grounds. Aren't you fucking pumped?
I feel like they're not going to send me a code for this game. Again. They sent me a code for their last game, and I was not kind to it. I think I gave it a 4 or a 3.
Well, you're a dog. That's what it is. Giving negative reviews to bad games. How dare
I?
How dare you?
Yes. I mean, these people, they spend so much time making them. They deserve at least a 7. Yeah. I guess it's looking like a big year. We just don't know when all this stuff is dropping.
Yeah.
Because people are holding things really close to their chest for new consoles and that sort of stuff. So I think it's gonna be busy. So should be good. A lot coming out. That Vampire Masquerade game, like.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Hopefully that's this year.
I think it will be. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it's on track.
Yep.
All right. Well, yeah, we don't have much for the next couple of weeks, but we'll have stuff soon.
Yeah. All right, should we wrap things up then?
We've got some questions. Let's do the questions.
All right, do the questions. Do them.
Johnny Bravo writes, "Hey gents, happy 500. What are your best and worst games of the last 500 episodes?" That is a dick move, JB.
I'm not prepared for this.
No. Worst game is Postal 3, which is the worst game I've ever played. It is the worst game that I think exists in above shitty indie asset flip games. I guess, what was that? Was it War Z? Is a strong contender for that title. So it comes in, and I can't decide which one's worse between those two, but my gut, I went with Postal 3 first, so I'm going to say Postal 3 is the worst game of the last 500 episodes. But big shout out to War Z for being a huge, heinous piece of shit as well. Best game at the last 500 episodes is Batman Arkham City. Or Red Dead Redemption 2, I think. Maybe Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the only one that busts its way into my top 3. I think Batman slipped out because of that, part at the 2/3 point. But Red Dead Redemption 2, I adored. Yeah, Luke.
Ooh, bad games like.
Yep.
We've talked about a lot of games on here. But out of the ones I've actually reviewed for a publication, the Friday the 13th game was up there. I think I gave that a 4.
It's really hurting your chances of getting a Predator copy.
Yeah, and the other one was Crackdown 3, which I also gave a 4.
Oh yeah,
but
nice.
Like I can't think of games that I've played that are like just bad. Like there's definitely worse games out there, but if they are, it's generally like I play them for 10 minutes and I'm like, I don't need to, like, I'm not being paid for this. I don't need to play much more of it. But they're the two that really come to mind that I've played and I'm like, this is a bad game. It's not a good game. So it's those two. In terms of the best, I think I'm going to go with you on your Red Dead Redemption list. I think that's a good pick. And I'm trying to think what else. I'm not too sure.
Just while you're thinking, you can't see my my review anymore of Postal 3, but you can see the excerpt on Metacritic. Postal 3 wanted to offend me, and it succeeded. It wasn't the racist stereotyping, the rampant sexism, the spankerchiefs, or the laughable gore. All of that is done in a manner so pedestrian that I'm more embarrassed for them than I am offended. What offended me was that people are actually selling this. That Running with Scissors / Akela would have the balls to slap a finish label on this title and start taking people's money. 1 out of 10. Because we didn't have 0, because that would be an 11-point system. That's pretty heavy. It's not the lowest score, because Metro Game Central did have a 0. And they went for it. But yeah.
Right.
That has a 24 on Metacritic. Yeah.
So some of the other games I'd probably chuck in there is obviously PUBG. Like, generally I'm going to look at games that are pretty influential. So I think PUBG has changed the multiplayer landscape quite a bit.
100%.
Dark Souls is, or at least 2 for me. Dark Souls 2 is a big one for me. I think that's pretty big. Obviously, The Witcher 3. Just what they did for storytelling and that sort of stuff. Batman, Arkham. I really liked Arkham Asylum. I liked Arkham City too.
I just thought City was just so much better.
Yeah, I really liked City too. My biggest gripe with City was the DLC was attached to a pre-order bonus, so like if you didn't get that that specific code, you missed out on a bunch of content that was there at day one, which is it's like Catwoman. I think it was Catwoman content. So yeah, I knocked it for that a little bit. And then obviously was GTA 5 this decade. I think GTA 5 definitely is up there as well.
Yeah. I just wanted to pick one. I just didn't want to list everything. But yeah, if you wanted to talk about influential on the podcast, I would say PUBG probably has to fucking win. PUBG or Dark Souls as a series would have to fucking win because it has devastated how this podcast goes. Both of them had massive impact on what we talked about for a long time. I know there was a huge period of time where all we talked about was fucking Dark Souls, especially when John was still on the fucking podcast. And there was a massive point, like there were some weeks where we literally only talked about PUBG.
Oh yeah, it was for like 6 months straight. It was on every week.
Yeah,
like it's only just recently come back because it works now here. But
yeah, yeah. So yeah, if we're doing influential, definitely those two. Dark Souls definitely deserves a mention regardless. 2 is still my favorite, even though I know it's not everyone's favorite, and I understand the criticisms. I just had the most fun with it. But yeah, yeah, good question, JB. Good stuff. And Dangers writes, "Hi Luke and Jabobo. Do you think Jack from Jack and Daxter has an advantage or disadvantage in battle with his long ears? He likely has better hearing, but do you think his large ears make his head weigh more? These are the kinds of things that keep me up at night. Cheers, Dang. P.S. Can't wait for your cameo in Shakira Tour Manager 2021, Joab." No, ears don't tend to weigh that much. I've lifted an elephant's ear once, and it didn't weigh anywhere near as much as I thought it was going to be. Going to weigh. So I think that ears probably aren't that big a deal. Although I think what you're not taking into consideration, Dangers, is the fact that ears do provide a silhouette or a like they will give you away.
Yeah.
When they're sticking up before your head is sticking up, so they are a clear tell that you're about to pop your head over cover, which I think would be a distinct disadvantage in battle. I don't think better hearing. I guess if you're accustomed to better hearing, it could be a significant advantage. I just don't know if it would outweigh the disadvantage of people definitely knowing when you're about to put your fucking head out, because your head getting shot is pretty bad in battle.
Yeah, but I don't know if the size of the ears has anything to do with that. Better hearing. Like significantly better hearing.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that elephants have better hearing. I don't know.
But theirs are like droopy and shit.
Right. Do rabbits have good hearing? Why else would they have giant ears? What benefit would giant ears convey if not better hearing?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Think it through, Luke. Good question, Dangers.
Asking the hard questions.
Yeah, you're going all the way in. That is the podcast.
That is the podcast. 500. 3 hours.
Huge.
There you go. Sorry?
I said, hey.
Hey, okay. All right. You can find The Gap on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, everywhere. You basically anywhere you can find us. All those wonderful places. If you do have some time, please rate and review the show. It helps other people find it quite easily. So thank you to people that do that. It only takes a couple of seconds. All it takes. If you want to send us any questions, you can email us, thegapodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to our Discord page, thegapodcast.com/Discord. You can leave us questions like Dangers just has, or you can jump in there and play some video games with us, or just generally chat about things in general. We've got a movie page on there. You can talk about your favorite movies you've seen recently. I saw Bad Boys for Life this week.
No spoilers.
You can talk about how bad that film is.
How fucking dare you?
Or how good it is. I never said.
Good save.
I never said. But there's a spoiler thing in there. Otherwise, just talk about random things in general. Things going off in there. It's good fun. It's good fun hanging out.
Yep.
You can also find us on social media. Facebook.com/GAPodcast. Twitter.com/GAPodcast. You can also go to our YouTube page, thegapodcast.com/YouTube. You want to watch us on video.
Chatting.
Right here. You can also go to our website, which is thegapodcast.com. It's got links to all of the things we just talked about, including past episodes of the show and what we've discussed. Maybe you want to go check out episode number 322.
Why?
Which one's that, Joe? What we talked about on that one?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
My research wasn't that technical. It was pretty surface level.
Fair enough.
Don't worry about me.
Yeah. But there's a lot on there. So the people that keep that site running, we got to thank them, our Patreon members. If you want to help support the show, you can go to patreon.com/GAPodcast, become a member, get this podcast early. And so thank you to everyone that helps support the show each week. We appreciate it. And I think that is it. Have you got anything you'd like to pimp out for your Twitter page? You got a bunch of videos going up?
Head at Joby Jojo to see dumb videos that I tweet or whatever. Stay tuned. We're doing a Star Wars spoiler cast. Like I said, inspired by Spec TV. That should go up just after this one does. I expect. I don't know. I don't edit it. That's Luke's problem.
Maybe around the same time. Yeah. We'll figure that out. Cool. But it should be pretty soon.
Pretty close.
It'll be after this one.
Yep.
But pretty close. Maybe we'll put up Sunday or something like that. I'm not sure. Throw people off.
That'll get them.
Yeah.
Sweet.
You can find me twitter.com/Luke Lawrie, Lawrie, and we'll be back next week. We've got some games that we can't talk about yet that we'll check out.
Yep.
But we've at least got some things to talk about, so that should be cool. Some new stuff. So that is it. Thanks everyone for listening. 500.
Happy 500.
500 more coming up. Yes.
Whoa.